Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. Today, it is Wednesday.
There we go. Where's the music?
Hey.
Get me going.
It is Wednesday, July 17th. I see, and by the way, I'm sorry. I got to just get to it. People in the comments are talking
I'm
about
going through it right now.
And you saw Kirby's story. What is going on? What is going on right now?
We need like confirmation or something. Like, I know we don't want to report anything. Like we're trying to be good at our job here, so we don't want to report anything. But context and what people are saying, I don't know what's going on or what's happening. But if that's true or there's something that happened, like we're not gonna like report on it until we get like this is reported true. But someone reports something like if something's going on, someone like come out like
context behind what's the rumor going around, Bill?
The rumor is Aiden Hudson has some sort of injury. Michael Lucius had reached out to us and kind of mentioned it to us. Kirby Joseph had posted on his story on Instagram with the 97 and a blue heart, and then he posted a crying picture like a little bit later. And then that's what kind of the rumor, I guess Foxy on Pat McAfee had mentioned something about a Lions star. I don't know. I didn't see the clip, so I have to see the clip first. But he said there's a Lions player that's injured. And obviously the 97 from Kirby, context clues, you put it together. It's not official. We don't know what's going on. But the comments and the Kirby thing, you put two and two together, and you're like, what are we doing here? At least like Hutch has to know what's going on right now. And if it's not true, say something. I'm going to have a panic attack over here. Like, I'm going to flip this desk.
I mean, it doesn't – did they say – because I haven't seen the McAfee clip yet. Did they say in any context about how serious the injury was? Like, did they make it seem like it was significant?
I didn't see the clip either. This is just where I'm seeing a lot of people comment, and we have people that are commenting on our stuff and messaging us saying that he had mentioned something. So I have not seen the clip. If someone has the clip and can send it to us and we can play it, that would be unbelievable. Obviously, we're live now, so we can't get the clip. But I just found out of this right before we went on air. Like Jeff mentioned it to me.
Yeah, Michael Lucci, shout out to him. He DM'd me, because I didn't see it on social media, but then I'm now seeing it on social media. Not him being heard, not confirming that he's heard, but people talking about it. I hope it's not true. I mean, I hope for whatever reason, maybe, maybe there's something else going on. Maybe there's another reason why you put 97 in the heart. Hopefully it's not injury related. We obviously aren't reporting that he is injured. But man, even though that where there's smoke, there's typically fire. And that's what worries me. Last thing we need is Aiden Hudson. We just had this talk yesterday, remember? And it was if Amon-Ra goes down, it was a mailbag. And it was if Amon-Ra goes down, how concerned would you be? I was like, well, I'd be more concerned if Hutch goes down. And then today there's rumors he went down. Come on. Hey, maybe it's a sprained ankle,
That's what I'm saying. Like, even like if you go on Fox and Twitter afterwards, like he's talking about how the Lions are still Super Bowl contenders and everything like that. So I think if there is an injury, we were kind of talking about before the show, if there was anything major, I think that happened, like Schefter would have known, ESPN would have known, Bleacher Report would have known. Like, we would have gotten updates about it. Now, the thing is, they're not reporting back to camp yet, but guys are starting to get acclimated with the area pretty soon. Like, I'm sure people are kind of going back to Detroit, stop going on vacation, starting to kind of lock in before training camp. So they're probably coming back. But I don't think, like, Aiden Hutchinson is going to show up with a torn ACL. Like, I don't think it's anything like that. Like, if he does, he probably is, like we saw, who was it? Ricky Pearsall, non-football injury. He was probably training and did something to his ankle or his knee that's not crazy significant. And if that's getting leaked, I would 100% bet that Aiden Hutchinson would as well. So if it's anything major, I would be absolutely surprised. It's probably just something working out, sprained something, like pulled something that's pretty minor, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and then hopefully, like, as well, maybe, hopefully everything's okay with, like, family or if there's something going on. I don't know. But, like, to your point, Klotz, like, yeah, like, if it's something minor or, like, I don't know, like, in my experience over the last couple of years of covering, like, the NFL and stuff, typically when there's an injury that it doesn't get covered up for more than a couple hours. Like, it gets put out there within hours, and that's anywhere. Like, there's no one covering it up. So if there is something, I'm sure by the end of the night we would know. And especially if it's a major injury. And if it's not an injury, it might be something, in his personal life that's going on. And Kirby's just kind of, looking out for him there, and he knows he's going through stuff. So hopefully it's nothing too bad, but I don't want us to sit here and say that season's over or anything of I think what this does do is, whether it's something or not, this puts perspective a little bit about how important a guy like Aiden Hudson is for this football team. Because for the last 5 minutes since I found some sort of thing that I guess that's going around the internet out, things start flashing through my mind oh my gosh, the Detroit Lions just lost their
disaster
player.
Boys.
It's an absolute disaster, boys. They lost a defensive player of the year candidate, if that's the case. And that's not this is going to be the biggest year in Detroit Lions history. It puts that in perspective. No. This is the biggest year ever in Detroit Lions history, ever. And as long as they've ever been existed. You can't that was the thing last year, Jeff, when we had the conversation after the NFC Championship game, when you you didn't sit me down like I was a kid, but you were we were sitting there and you're like, dude, you're that close. Everything has to go right in the NFL. Injuries, playing certain teams that have injuries, everything has to go right to get to a point to put yourself in a position to win a Super Bowl. And that felt like last year was that. And this year it's coming back to be that year again. I hope we get some clarification within the next hour. So while we're on air here, and we have the doc coming on too, so maybe the doc can help answer some questions. Perfect guy actually for that.
Yeah, it's even worse that you don't have a definitive answer, and for people that are just tuning in, I see some people that are a little, confused, just tuning in. It is being rumored just on Twitter or X, people talking about Hutch potentially being injured. It started with Kirby posting a blue heart on his story with 97 next to it. And then he put a crying face, like a meme after that. And then there's people kind of talking about it. I don't know. We don't have any confirmation if he's injured or not, but boy, better hope it's something that is like Lukas said, not significant. Maybe he's just, but then it's why would you post something if he sprayed his ankle? You know what I mean? It's obviously,
yeah, that's a good point. Just
yeah,
go with that. I know it's uncomfortable. I know this is an
this.
uncomfortable thought exercise, but we're on the topic. Let's say Hutch. It would be something catastrophic. He'd have to tear his Achilles. He'd have to do something catastrophic to miss the whole season at this point. Let's say he misses a significant amount of time. Let's say, just for the given situation, let's say the first half of the season, first eight games. Where do you think this Lions team would be without Aiden Hudson record-wise? But we did the bye week, and I think me and you, Jeff, we had 12 wins. Booner, how many did you have? 13, 14? I couldn't remember. But either way, we had similar amount, and I think we were 7-1, or maybe 6-2 going into the bye, and that's with Hutch. What do you think he is without?
I think I still do guys. And the thing with that is the thing without Aiden Hutchinson, say that does happen, or there's something that happened. The Detroit Lions, they still have a very good roster. And I know the defensive line was already a questionable part, and the defensive edge room was the most questionable part and if say a Hutch isn't there for even a small time, that is a problem. You know what I mean? That is an issue, but you still have a really good roster in the top 5 offense. So I don't think it it affects the game. It for sure does. And your record's going to get affected by that when a piece like that potentially could be down. But I don't think it's hey, you're not going to make the playoffs or have a chance at the NFC North. No, you're still fighting for all of that. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure things out over here. I already texted a couple of people. I'm trying to figure this out here because I don't like being in these situations where we don't know. I truly, guys, and I don't want to be wrong on this, but just my perspective on this with Hutch is, if there's been no reports at all and Kirby's the only one to put something out there, and we on our end have not heard anything, or no one's heard anything, and there's not even a rumor out there, and the only thing people are speculating is potentially Foxy saying something on the Pat McAfee show, which I do trust Foxy. I just would like to hear the clip so we can kind of put that into context a little bit, so we know hey, is it a player injury or maybe, but also Kirby just putting in 97, yeah, that is questionable, but I don't know if a big time injury, if the person to report it and put something out, the very only person, first person, would be Kirby Joseph to do that. I don't think that would be the case. I think if Kirby is putting up a 97 with the blue heart and it's been up for about 5 hours or 4 hours, however long it's been up, then I think a guy like Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and these guys would have been doing everything, especially a guy as high level as Hutch. They would have been doing everything they could to figure out what is going on and reach out to agents. And so that's where I'm a little like, okay, as much as I hate it, maybe it's something going on with family, and there's some family things going on or something like that. And that's more so the side, but that's just, I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. It would be tough if that's the case though, that he's hurt.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling I'm getting emotional here, and we don't even know what's going on. I'm just like, I love this football team so much, and we're sitting here like, oh my gosh.
Maybe the better, how to handle whatever is out there, and I guess at this point, no one's saying anything. Even if people that probably have information, they haven't said anything. So, again, I don't know if they're kind of keeping the lid shut on this or what. But Brad Holmes should do right now. Pick up the phone. Call the New England Patriots. Judon?
Mr. Matthew?
Mr. Matthew Judon, a man who grew up in this state. You want to come chase a Super Bowl? Come on over here. That's how Brad should handle this. That regardless, even injury or not injury. But this should make it even more.
Maybe he just got engaged or something. Maybe he's engaged to his girlfriend, and Kirby's just happy for him.
Yeah.
What do you think record-wise, though, Jeff? Like, to what Booner answered, too. What do you think the record-wise? Do you think it'd be any big of a difference, or a big difference, I should say? Or do you think it'd be around the same?
It would definitely hurt. It would definitely hurt. And because you have a guy that not only can impact every single play, but he'll close games. I mean, I don't know. I would probably I hate having this conversation.
Like if we had him at 6-2 going into week 8, what do you think the record would be at week 8 if it wasn't 6-2 with no Hutch? What do you think it is?
5-3, 4.
Okay, I was gonna say 4, 5-3. Yeah, we're on the same spot.
It could hurt. I mean, it
with the quarterbacks they got to play, especially early on.
Look what the 49ers look like when Nick Bosa missed the whole year. I mean, they actually had other injuries too, but still, like, it hurts. I mean,
because I understand that the Lions, they improved their secondary, but early on in the season, and I know it's not early on, but just the quarterbacks in general, you got CJ Stroud, you got Matthew Stafford. You can say what you want about Baker Mayfield, but if you don't pressure him, he's going to piece you apart with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, that company. Then later on in the season, you got Brock Purdy. I mean, the quarterbacks the Lions have to face are legitimate this year. So if Hutch does go down at any point, I think you're not going to be able to put pressure on those quarterbacks. It's not going to come from the other side of Hutch if they don't make a move. And how lethal is Aleem McNeil going to be if you have DJ Reader there, if you really only have to worry about those two? If you can lock down the inside of the offensive line, double team Aleem and DJ Reader, whichever one you want to on that play, you really can go one-on-one on the edge and just start picking apart this defense.
I don't, guys. This conversation thinking that Aiden Hutchinson's out, I do not like this. I think I don't know,
but it's a good exercise to have, though.
I guess it's a good exercise. We should do it
to go get another edge.
I don't like doing exercises that are Detroit Lions players being out for the season. Like, if we're like, I would say we could do a topic of it, but it's like I'm not doing a topic of a hypothetical that Jared Goff's out for the whole year or that Amon-Ra St. Like, I'm not doing that ever. Like,
you know, you do.
I'm not doing that.
Look at Davenport. You say, "Hey, Davenport,
time to step up,
suit up,
trade for someone." Just gotta find a way.
Yeah, that's what you do. Okay.
It wouldn't honestly. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. I'm not commenting on the rest of this. I just want to figure out what happened and what's going on. Maybe maybe he's engaged. I think Hutch just got engaged. That's all. Someone in the chat said Kirby Joseph was. Yeah, Kirby Joseph was the 97th overall pick in the NFL draft, so maybe he just put 97 for his pick and a heart for the Lions, saying thank you guys.
That's I love that.
So like, let's look at positives here. I don't want to sit here and think that something negative happened to one of my favorite Lions players of all time, and Aiden Hutchinson, when we're going into the biggest season in Detroit Lions history. Like, the last 10 minutes of my life has been like
disaster, Bill.
Disaster. Like, this is crazy. So
well,
I think everything's.
I have a topic that I think will bring some juice. Maybe it's more. I think this will be more of an intense topic. But Jeremy Reisman put out because Kelvin Johnson got inducted to the Pride of the Lions. Kind of the Lions version of Ring of Honor, Pride of the Lions. And Jeremy Reisman put out a very interesting poll. And I'm going to ask you guys the same question.
Here we go.
And it's spicy. And he even put on here, it's spicy.
Spicy.
He asks, as of right now, who deserves to get into the Lions' pride of the Lions more, Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff?
It's not even a question. It's not
So,
even a question to me.
I clicked to see the results.
You clicked Matthew Stafford. You voted Matthew Stafford.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm realizing that now how bad that looks. But
You voted Matthew Stafford.
I hands up. I just
understand
full results. All right, I'll give my answer when we actually talk about it. Just trust me on this. All right, relax. The people relax. But I also want to share this because it wasn't just this question. Honolulu, which we do love, Honolulu Blues, but they tweeted this out: if you pick Stafford, you're not a true Lions fan. And
yeah.
Are you guys gonna give your guys' answers?
I'll go first because we've had this conversation a lot, but we're not talking about the NFL Hall of Fame. We're not talking about the NFL All-Pro team. We are talking about who deserves to be in Detroit Lions legacy more, Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff. When have the Lions in recent history won without Jared Goff? They haven't. They've been absolutely mid. At the peak, they were 11-5 and getting kicked out in the wild card round by the Seahawks on the road or the Saints on the road. They were getting routed with no chance, and they've had some talented rosters. But if you look at me at the eyes and tell me that, you know what, Matthew Stafford was more important to the Detroit Lions than Jared Goff, the only reason I could tell you that is maybe because he was part of the trade that got Jared Goff and those other pieces here. He was the one piece that really got that haul there. But Jared Goff is the quarterback, the best quarterback in Detroit Lions history. Regardless of what you think about Matthew Stafford's arm, it didn't end up winning games in Detroit. I understand that situation matters. I'm not denying that Stafford is a bad or an elite quarterback. I'm not saying that. But for the Detroit Lions, it's Jared Goff, without a doubt.
What about
you? You go. I want to go last on this one. I'm looking for something for you guys real quick.
Okay.
I want
so, this is where it gets tricky. Are we inducting based on just solely well, hold on. Or what are we taking into consideration when we're inducting players?
I think he just booted himself out of
No, when we're inducting players into the pride of the Lions.
Yes, before he joined, I think the premise, at least what I was thinking of this, is what you did for the Detroit Lions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you don't see, I'm trying to think of a major player that got traded like mid in his career. But either way, like LaDainian Tomlinson, he's not going into the New York Jets, or like whatever their ring about.
There we go.
Going into the Chargers.
All
like
right.
there's players.
I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
But I was basically saying, Jeff, so we could get the premise right. At least what I'm thinking and what I'm saying this take is what you did for the Lions. Like, you can have a great career somewhere else, but you're not going to be inducted in every team's Ring of Honor. You're going to be inducted to the team that you had the success with Ring of Honor. Like, Stafford should go in the Rams. In the Rams, he's been there for multiple seasons, put up numbers. Like, he should go there. That's where he won.
So, okay, real quick, let me just restart this, okay? How are we valuing it? Because if we're going off individual talent, right, we value Calvin Johnson. He deserves to make it because he's the second greatest wide receiver to ever play this game, and they never won anything with Calvin. But I wouldn't blame Calvin. So therefore, I don't care. Put him in the pride of the Lions. Would a bad answer be both?
Yes, that's a cop out.
Because no. You know what?
I
want
think
me to go,
both.
Jeff?
The poll is A.
Time out.
Matthew
Time
Stafford,
out. No,
or
it's
B,
not.
Jared Goff.
It's not. Time out. I'll go. I'll get this in check. Jeff, I got you here.
All right, hold on.
The poll says who. Can you pull it up real quick? Actually, no, don't pull it up real quick. Let's just talk about this. Who goes in first?
No, there's two answers here.
No, there's not two answers. Hold on. Let me see the thing. Because I don't. This is the thing that's going to happen. And Jeff, I text you a tweet. I would love for you to play my tweet, and you'll know exactly when to play it. So if you can cue that tweet up, not that one. As of right now, who deserves to get into it more? Who deserves to get into it more? It doesn't mean you have to pick one or the other. No, that's not what this is saying.
Who deserves it more? Who deserves
it more? Okay, yeah. So we can answer that. And
it's not both.
Okay, well, let me answer it. You're freaking out. Let me answer it, dude. Jeez. This is where I'm going with it. Man, Klotzy. Hold on. Get that off the screen. This is the thing. And there's a lot of people in the chat right now who are like both sides of it. There's people who are like, no, give me Goff, give me Stafford. This is what's going to happen here. Because the thing is, Klotzy, the question asks who deserves it more. There's one guy who deserves it more. Both of them eventually in their career will both be in the pride of the Detroit Lions. You don't play for a football team for 10 years as a starting quarterback and put the numbers up that you did and have a Hall of Fame career with the football team just alone. His career, the stats wise, you could argue is Hall of Fame, just the stats wise. You could argue that, and you can't lie to me. Put those 10 years up with any other quarterback in 10 years, and he beats everyone. So no, let me finish. Let me finish what I'm doing. I was quiet when you were talking. Now the thing is you go in there and you're at both of these quarterbacks are going to be in the pride of the Detroit Lions. There's one player right now, though, who deserves to be in it more than the other, and that is the only man that the city loves right now, and the man that went to an NFC championship game, won an NFC North for this team, won 12-plus games, and that is the man that the whole city for the last 12 months, Jeff, cue the video up. Cue the video up. That is the man who took this team
is crazy.
to an NFC championship game, and everyone chants this man's name at every single Detroit sports event. Talk to me, St. Brown. Jared Goff. That man deserves to be in it over Matthew Stafford for sure. 100%. And if you don't think Jared Goff deserves it over Matthew Stafford, you're a slappy. That's all it is. You're a Stafford slappy, and you'll never admit it. But that does not take away the point, though, because I've been the one that's saying that Matthew Stafford's on my Mount Rushmore for Detroit Lions players, and that's because I grew up watching Jared Goff. I got into the Detroit or Matthew Stafford. I grew up watching Matthew Stafford. He got me into the Detroit Lions. Him and Kelvin Johnson. Like there's sentimental meaning behind these things, and he played for 10 years with this football organization. Whether you like him or not, he did that for 10 years, and he put numbers up. Whether you think it was padded or not, he went out there and did that for 10 years and did everything he could, and then he left a year later and won a Super Bowl. So I don't care. Anyone could say anything different to me about Matthew Stafford. He'll be in the Hall of Fame, and he'll be in the pride of the Lions. Who deserves it more right now? It's the player that went out there and got you to an NFC championship game and won you an NFC North. Matthew Stafford didn't do that. That doesn't mean I don't like you guys already know how I feel about Matthew Stafford, but if I had to pick for that, it's Jared Goff. All right, Klotz or Jeff.
No, I'll you know what? Fuck it. We're not doing both. I'll go Stafford. I think Stafford should be in the pride of the Lions. Right now. They're both going to get in, and we can agree, right? Can we agree there? They're both going to get in, but who deserves it? Who's going to get in quicker? It's going to be Stafford. Couple of reasons, and this one you're not going to like. He's closer to retirement. Okay, there's that. The other thing is and the Jeremy also talked about this because everyone brings up like the accomplishment, which I absolutely I don't hate because Jared and by the way, Jared and others helped turn this city around. Let's not just act like Jared put the entire team on his back. I mean, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. There's a lot of people that had to do with this. So, I love when people bring up quarterback wins, and when it fits their narrative, they'll run with it. Like now quarterback wins matter. So now we're going to go with Jared Goff. Like, oh yeah, he's the reason, which he is. He's a big part of it. But so are a lot of others, right? And that's what Matthew Stafford never had. We make that argument all the time. Now, when it comes to this, I'm not someone that believes a lot in quarterback wins. Like I think you should look at a quarterback by, their talent, which that's how you rank quarterbacks. That's why many people still have Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff in rankings. But again, I want to give Jared Goff a lot of credit. What he's done in Detroit in the success this team has had. Yeah, like Jared's done a lot, and he will be in the pride of the Lions. But Matthew Stafford, like I don't care if the organization failed him, but I don't care about they never won a playoff game. Well, yeah. He never won a playoff game, absolutely, but so did a lot of other players that were here with Matthew and the coaches that they continuously recycled and fired and hired and fired and hired. That's just how that works. So I'm not going to punish Stafford for an organization failing to build around him. So I think Stafford will get in first, given he's older. Sorry, I know it's a stupid answer, but Jared will get in as well. They'll have two quarterbacks in there, and that's interesting because a franchise that had kind of had lack of success, they had two pretty good quarterbacks back to back. So. I'm gonna say Stafford will get in. The Rams thing is interesting. You brought that up. I mean, yeah, you won a Super Bowl there, but you can't take away. I mean, what he did in Detroit, 12 years? I mean,
let me ask you this though, and I know Stafford was in Detroit longer, but is Drew Brees getting inducted to the Chargers Ring of Honor? No, He's going in the Saints because that's where he's won. So, I mean, I see Matthew Stafford going to Detroit one day because he was there for that extent of time. But before Jared Goff, if Jared Goff is the quarterback of this team and you induct Matthew Stafford, it's a slap in the face, in my opinion. Like, you put Jared Goff in first, especially if he's on the roster. Like, you don't induct the guy that you traded, that's involved in the trade, that disrupted Jared Goff's career. Now, it obviously benefited Jared Goff, but he remembers everything that he heard about Matthew Stafford. Now you're going to induct him into the Ring of Honor in front of his face. Maybe it's not. It's recently after, but I just think that doesn't fit what you want as an image for an ownership. Like, if Calvin Johnson had to wait that long, Matthew Stafford doesn't have to wait that long, but he can wait a little bit. You can put Jared Goff in there before, especially if Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl with this team, in my opinion.
That example, by the way, too, the Drew Brees examples. I love you, Klotz. Bad
Dude,
example.
12,000 yards, 80 touchdowns in 5 seasons.
Drew Brees played 50 games for the Chargers. Matthew Stafford played 150 games.
What I'm saying is he was a good quarterback that went on to have a legacy.
But
obviously, Drew Brees' legacy is longer, so I understand, but he won nothing. Drew Brees won nothing.
Seasons. He played 4 seasons.
I understand, but he was But then what I'm saying is you go to another place and you have a Hall of Fame legacy. That's why I said I understand why I'm going to say Matthew Stafford gets in Detroit because he played a longer year. But my whole thing is, like, you remember Drew Brees for the Saints and winning there. I think when you look back on it,
like Matthew Stafford,
when you look back 10 years from now, I think more people are going to remember Matthew Stafford winning in LA than they will throwing to Kelvin Johnson for 10 years. Like,
I get, like,
says Detroit Lions fans won't, but NFL fans around the world, they're going to remember.
I disagree.
Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp Triple Crown. Oh, Matthew Stafford somehow being a wild card and going on a tear. Matthew Stafford, when everybody thought he was done, and they went 11-5 and made it to the playoffs. Still, like, I think people remember that more as far as legacy.
This is the problem.
The Detroit Lions.
This is the problem with some people who just like negate Matthew Stafford. It's the fact that he did do a lot here. He didn't win. Yeah, okay. But what he did here for 10 years was massive. And the fact is he will be in the pride of the Lions at some point in his career, and he will be in the Hall of Fame, and he's going to come back to Detroit and give back, and he's going to continue to do stuff like that in Detroit. Like, none of that's going to change. So, like, he will get into the pride of the Lions. And to Jeff's point, Stafford as well, like, he's going to retire 6 years before Jared Goff does. So I'm sure he's going to get in, and Jared Goff's going to get in, and Stafford's just going to get in before because he's 10 years older than Jared Goff. Like, that's just the way it's going to work. Who deserves it more? Like, if I had to pick one right now to go in, fresh off an NFC Championship appearance in NFC North, that's why I'm going Jared Goff, and the guy who's completely captivated the city of Detroit over the last year and just signed a 4-year deal here. Like, I'm going him because that's the guy right now who's going to lead us to a Super Bowl. And, like, Jared Goff's going to win a Super Bowl in Detroit. He's going to deserve it over Matthew Stafford because guess what? He's bringing a Lombardi trophy to the city of Detroit. No one's ever done that. Jared Goff deserves a statue if he brings a Lombardi trophy to Detroit. That still doesn't negate the fact that Matthew Stafford deserves to be in the pride of the Lions. At that point, it's like, let's stop comparing them. You had 2 great quarterbacks in your building for a 20-year span. Just because the Detroit Lions front office and owners were incompetent for 10 years while Matthew Stafford was here doesn't mean he was a bad quarterback, because he went to a competent franchise and a competent ownership in GM, and he won a Super Bowl instantly. So, like, you can't take that away from Matthew Stafford and Kelvin Johnson, because if you take it away from Matthew Stafford, like, it's the same thing with Kelvin Johnson. Kelvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford both did not win here in Detroit. They both lost, but they both put numbers up. So it's like you're putting Kelvin in, you're putting Stafford in as well. But Jared Goff is going to be the one that wins the Lombardi trophy, and he's going to be the one that gets the statue outside of Ford Field. That's just the way it's going to work.
You know what Jared Goff has done that Matthew Stafford never has in his whole career? Won a division.
Anything you say, it doesn't matter, because guess what? Jared Goff is doing it. Like, this is the thing that literally, you didn't. It's like you didn't listen to anything I said.
I just wanted to troll you, dude. I just wanted to troll you. Yeah,
the thing is, like, Kelvin was on those teams too and put all those numbers up. He's the greatest wide receiver of all time.
Who did he depend on?
But you listen, it's what you got to understand. It's like,
Booner, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Yes, I'm with you. I just think it would be a bad move if you put him in before Jared Goff. If Jared Goff wins the Super Bowl, if Jared Goff. It's not going to happen. If Jared Goff goes out there and absolutely falls on his face in his contract, then be like, go for it. But if Jared Goff is out there winning games, like, do not
it's just the timing.
Disrupt the game for Jared Goff to put Matthew Stafford in there.
It's really about should both be in, because Stafford's going to get in first. He's older. So, like, that's not even a question. It's should he get in? Do you think he should get in?
Stafford, yeah. Like, with the Lions' history, like, I think he's one of the probably top 7 lines of all time. If it probably could be higher than that, but depending on how you want to rank it, yeah, he should definitely be in.
Okay, then that's fair.
Just
Then we agree. Both will get in.
Yeah.
I think deserving is a interesting word. It's really how you value. I guess your opinion is based on how you value like quarterback wins. You know, if you're a big quarterback wins guy, you're probably like, yeah, no question, Goff should get in, Stafford should not. I'm not much of a quarterback wins guy. I mean, yeah, you got to win, but it's the ultimate team game, so I'm like a little away from that. But yeah, it is what it is.
Again,
also,
dude, like those
go on.
guys played on the same team for 10 years together, him and Kelvin. Like both of those guys deserve to be in. They both went through absolute hell with the front office and coaches consistently in their career. Like when Stafford left, I was one of the first ones to say that, dude, I do not blame you. And then when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell come in, that's when you're like, okay, finally, we actually got something here to play for. And yeah, if Stafford would have stayed, obviously with Brad and them, like he would have been that much more successful. But you can't blame a guy who has no clue on. He's going through his third, fourth, coaching staff and GM change, and you're sitting there and you're going like, my career is passing me by right now. Like that's why it's like when people hate on him, like I get the hate because you love Jared Goff, but like I don't even I just leave it to the side. Like, I don't even look at it. I'm not going to hate on him or anything. But like when the careers are over, I'm going to say, hey, Stafford, grew up watching this guy. Like I'm going to respect him, and he's going to get into the pride of the Lions in the Hall of Fame. And someone said he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Ram. In the NFL, you don't even go in with a team. They don't. I don't even think they have jerseys or a hat. It's not like baseball. You have a hat or anything. You just go in as a player, and he'll talk about his time in Detroit. And he'll talk about his time in LA.
Well, I mean, speaking of another player that I think will be in the pride of the Lions, that's Penei Sewell. And Penei Sewell made the PFF top 50 list. They came out with 21 to 30. We said he'd be at most at top 15. You know, we thought he'd be lower than that, top 10 to 15. Well, PFF has him at 28. So almost double where we thought he'd be. He is behind tackle Tristan Wirfs at 22, behind Lane Johnson at 21. Sewell is the fourth.
Crazy.
He's the fourth ranked tackle on this list.
Trent Williams ahead as well. I'm sure will be released at some point this week.
So, yeah, this is insane to me.
Woke sports, fake news.
And then they came out. They had the audacity to come out with something like Penei Sewell, one of the highest graded tackles. Like they posted something like the day of or the day after. And then right after this came out, probably knowing that people were like freaking out about this. But even woke sports, if you want to call them that, like Penei Sewell tests off the charts on PFF and he's still 28. I want to see the players in front of him, and not just on this 21 to 30, but I'm talking like from number 1 to 21, because this is absurd.
It's insane. Do
you know what behind Wirfs and Lane Johnson? Great tackle. But
do you know what this is? You guys know the industry we're in, right? We're in the industry of clicks. Like PFF knew exactly what they were doing. First of all, Penei Sewell. If PFF really did a rankings, they would rank off of their grades, because if they think their grades are all so mighty, they would do their rankings off PFF grades. And Penei Sewell is the highest rated and graded offensive tackle in the NFL. So if they truly wanted to do that, they would do it off their grades. All this list is, and I know we did the segment on it yesterday talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, and Frank Ragnow all made it. And we had the conversation that we thought maybe Amon-Ra could be in a different spot, maybe a little higher. And all I think PFF did is they know like who are people talking about, because they put this ranking out today. Lane Johnson and Tristan Wirfs are both ahead of Penei. The graphic they used was a Penei graphic. They didn't use either one of those two guys. So they knew exactly what they were doing. They know who's going to get the clicks. Put a Penei picture out there. They know who the best tackle is in the NFL. Oh, let's put him fourth so it gets the people going. And that's all it did. It got the people going. And I think it just voids out their whole list. Their list does not matter. It's an irrelevant list at this point. Irrelevant. There's no way the Detroit Lions don't have any top 25 players in the NFL. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, Booner, I'm glad that we can break some bread here that PFF, again, is irrelevant. Everything that comes out of that goddamn platform is just irrelevant, because it doesn't make sense. How they compute these things does not make sense. It does not make sense to me how you can look at Lane Johnson. Again, Lane Johnson is going to be a Hall of Fame tackle, but this man is past his prime. There's without a doubt. Still at a high level, but past his prime. Penei Sewell, I think, is in his prime. I know it's still early on, but he's playing at Lane Johnson prime level, in my opinion. So when you look at that, you remember Lane Johnson going out in the dog mask with Nick Foles, and they went out and won a Super Bowl. That's the caliber of player that Penei Sewell is right now. And Lane Johnson is not that. So if you're going to say that Lane Johnson is better than Penei Sewell at this point, I don't need to see the rest of the list. Tristan Wirfs, I don't agree with, but I can understand it because since he stepped foot in the league, he's just been dominant. So there's that narrative that goes around it. But again, you look at just what I talked about the other day, the athleticism with Penei Sewell, that doesn't compute to a PFF grade of 69.3 compared to Tristan Wirfs at 75.3. There's not a PFF grade for that. So if that's how they're going to compute this list, that's fine. But again, it's just stupid. Everything that comes out of there is just stupid.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I like to use PFF for certain things like pass rating allowed and certain statistics that may fit my narrative, but I don't live by it, nor should you. One list that I think does have more weight is this: NFL executives, coaches, and scouts rank Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown as the 7th best wide receiver in the NFL. Which we've been doing these all week with rankings and who they have. They asked executives, coaches, and scouts, and they thought that A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb were all ahead of them. I'm assuming Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, and Justin Jefferson. I'm assuming that would be like
those were 1, 2, 3. Jamar Chase, Tyreek, Justin, Jamar, and Tyreek, or
in whatever order. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I think those three. And then 4 to me would be Devontae Adams. He should be there. And now the argument you're probably arguing with is Amon-Ra St. Brown versus A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. To me, it's just pick your poison at that point. Like me, obviously we're in Detroit, but like the reliability of Amon-Ra St. Brown and the hands he has, Klotz doesn't like it.
I'm not reacting to you, Booner.
I thought you're an A.J. Brown. You're an A.J. Brown guy.
I am. I reacted to this.
Oh no, yeah, no, I'm an AJ Brown guy, but like I think we did wide receiver rankings before a month back, and I think I had Amon-Ra at 5, and you guys might have had him at 6 or 7, and I think I had him the highest at 5, and that was just because I put him above AJ and CeeDee Lamb, and like that's just, I guess it's what you think. Like CeeDee Lamb, like those aren't bad. These are elite guys. Like the fact that Amon-Ra St. Brown's in the conversation with these guys means like you have a hell of a player. And that's kind of how I look at it. Because AJ Brown is one of the best in the league for a good stretch of his career now. And CeeDee Lamb as well is too. Like whether you hate Dallas or not, we all know CeeDee Lamb's one of the best in the league. So I think he's in that same tier with them. 7, yeah, I had him at 5 when we did ours, but I think 7, just like I think you guys might have had him at 6 or 7. So I think that's fair. I don't think it's like something where you're like, oh no, what's going on? But I would have him at 5 because I would take him over those guys. But that's just I think for each person, it's pick your poison.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm just a guy that's always admired A.J. Brown. I think that's like when you look at a receiver, at least me, like I want my wide receiver to play like A.J. Brown. He's a guy that can take a fade to the house, a slant to the house. He can block. He can impact the game in many ways. I understand there's some off-field distraction with A.J. Brown, but really, when you look at all the wide receivers around the NFL, not named Amon-Ra St. Brown, there's distractions. And Mike Evans, there's never distraction around those guys. And even last year with Mike Evans, there were some. So when you look at that, I just think A.J. Brown's a guy that has a higher ceiling, is produced. And not that Amon-Ra hasn't won, but A.J. Brown has been in meaningful games throughout the course of his career. So it's not like he hasn't done anything in playoff games either. And then me, I'm taking Amon-Ra over CeeDee because CeeDee is a guy that is built like an X, but most of the time he's in the slot. And now that's to get CeeDee the ball more. But Amon-Ra, I think, just has more of a polished game, especially in the run game. So I'm going to go A.J. Brown at 5, Amon-Ra at 6, and CeeDee at 7. But to Booner's point, you can arrange those guys however you want. I don't really think you can be mad.
Yeah, I'm more okay with this list than that Penei Sewell PFF ranking. I mean, I like you said, AJ, CeeDee, and Amon-Ra, it's kind of a, like you said, pick your poison. Whatever wide receiver you prefer, I would prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown. Others, like you said, Lucas might say A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb. I think at that point it's fine. He's top 6, 7 in the NFL, 5, 6, 7, wherever you want to put him. And we'll see. I mean, I don't have an issue with this list. I want to say before we have John on, we're going to go through that McAfee clip that Evan Foxy
I want to see
mentioned the rumored injury.
I will say as well before we play the clip, I already listened to the clip. I personally don't think it was anything. What I think it is, and I'll give you guys a little context before, is Boston Connor picked the Detroit Lions to go to the Super Bowl. They did Super Bowl predictions. He picked the Jets and the Lions, and he was kind of going off on the Lions. Obviously, he at the draft he had his backing, back and forth with Lions fans in Detroit. And he said how Foxy was talking about Lions injuries that morning, and he was like, so I think basically Foxy probably was just in the morning talking like, if a player goes down or if someone goes down, or only thing holding us back is injuries. And Boston Connor was like, you were talking, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they were actually talking about a player getting injured. So you could throw it up. If you look at it in that context, you'll know what I'm saying.
Here, and I'm a huge MCDC believer. I know Foxy was bumping his gums about players getting injured on his own team this morning, which didn't make much sense to me, but I do believe in what they got built over there. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs too. Like, he takes a step. Montgomery,
that was the comment right there.
Amon-Ra still there.
Who's offense coordinator?
Ben Johnson's still there.
Bingo.
Laporta, another year. Like, it just
Jared
goof.
Jared Goff. It's no longer that.
Excuse me. Yeah,
that's you expect them to go to Super Bowl.
Old habits die hard, and that's another reason why I think they're going to go. It's just like the stars are aligning for these poopy franchises to finally make a run, and that's why I do think it'll be Jets over Lions.
On your last point there, Jets Lions Super Bowl. Could you imagine saying that 5 years ago?
No.
Never.
If you said something like that, you get locked up.
Not anymore.
Mm-mm.
Now it's just a prediction.
I mean, look.
Plus 22 hunch
is
what the Jets are.
Lions are, they're ahead of the Eagles. Or, excuse me, tied with the Eagles.
Yeah, ahead of the Bills.
Yeah, well, I think the Bills should be like plus 4,000, but that's just.
Yeah, well, you're a Patriots fan, but you picking in the division, picking the Jets, wild move. Excited to see how it works out.
Did you guys hear the comment? It was not. I think it was just that.
Yeah,
Foxy
that's a
was
big
saying
nothing
something about it.
Boom.
Yeah, like Foxy was saying something earlier in the day about if someone gets injured or something like that. And Boston Connor was like, I don't know why he would be saying something like that. Like, that's crazy. So I don't think it was anything about they know a player. If they knew who a player was injured, it would have been reported for sure.
Hey, Jets Lions though. I mean, that's kind of a
Rogers. Kirby would be having.
I don't know. I don't think the Jets are going to take down the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'll say that. I think the Chiefs are good. It's going to be Chiefs Lions. I think.
But there's a team to do it though, built to beat the Chiefs. It's a healthy Jets roster. Not even healthy. Healthy Aaron Rodgers with Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson and 75% of their defense. Yeah,
that defense could definitely cause some problems. I don't hate it. I just aside from like the Hutchinson stuff, like I don't hate it. A lot of people seem to be high on the Jets.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, think about it. They were Super Bowl contenders last year, going into the season, entering the season, up to the first snap of their season. They were thought of as Super Bowl contenders. So I don't think it's ignorant to be high on them. Like, honestly, like if this were to be like last year, you're like, oh, the Jets, they went 12-4 and got bounced out in the divisional round. Like, let's say Aaron Rodgers was healthy. Like, this would be exactly where they were. And some people probably say, no, they should probably be higher. I understand there's some current concerns with Aaron Rodgers being hurt again, but if he's healthy, that's a top 5 roster in the NFL, in my opinion. The only thing they really don't have is an offensive line, which is incredible.
Which they've upgraded. They brought guys in. Like they went out there. They didn't just draft guys. They got free agents and brought a couple free agents in. They have the number 1 defense probably in the NFL, like arguably like the best defense out there. You have Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback, which yes, I keep saying was coming off an Achilles. Like he's still Aaron Rodgers. Like if he goes out there and wins an MVP, like you're not going to be shocked. You have Brees Hall, who people are putting as a top 5 running back, and then dude, like their wide receiver room. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Malachi Corley, I believe they drafted, Alan Lazard. Like, they have dudes in that room. And you have Tyler Conklin still. Like, they have so many weapons on that football team to where it's like they should be a Super Bowl contender. Like, if they stay healthy, it's the same thing with any team. Like, the Lions. Like, that was obviously the conversation that was being had with Boston Connor and Foxy. Foxy was saying if the Lions stay healthy and avoid injury, they're going to go win a Super Bowl. And it's the same thing with the Jets. If they stay healthy, they're going to have a really good chance. And honestly, with that defense and that roster, that could be a team that you all sit there and go, maybe that's the team that finally knocks the Kansas City Chiefs off. Maybe that's the team.
This is coming from Bill's Mafia zone.
Hey, I might. And it's not. This is where you get me mixed up. I'm a Josh Allen. Josh Allen's one of my favorite players. I still have the Bills right now, but if the Jets stay healthy, that division's going to be an 11-12 win. You're going to have to win the division with 12 games.
Bills ain't winning 12 games. The Jets are.
I just think that's a great division right now. The Dolphins, Jets, and Bills. That's a good division.
Only one elite team though. Again,
Jeff, like you're like, we know what's crazy with Jeff is Jeff thinks there's only one good team in every division.
Yeah,
Booner thinks the Colts can be good.
Team.
Booner, you say the Colts can be good, but you're also saying the
Jets. No. You're not allowed to say that. You are not allowed to say that anymore.
I'm allowed to say whatever I want.
Apparently, Booner thinks everyone's going to be good.
I don't. Everyone's
going to go out and win a bunch of games.
I will do an Adam Rank style record prediction for every single team in the NFL if you want me to, and we'll make it to where I have to go through every single schedule and do win-loss and make sure it's very pinpoint correct.
It's very thorough.
Yes, like I can't mess that up at all
that
because
Bills one, I'll watch that. I'll get popcorn. I'll watch that one.
All right. It's not that crazy to think the Jets could be contenders, dude. If they stay healthy, that roster, they already have the number 1 defense in the NFL, and you add a Hall of Fame quarterback and all of those weapons. Dude, like, come on. Like, let's not act like that's not a good team. And they upgrade the offensive line.
You don't think they're a contender if they stay healthy?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
What team?
The Jets.
The team we're talking about.
The division.
You just
okay. I just called Booner out because he's like high on the Bills, high on the Bills, and now he's like hyping up the Jets. I'm like,
he was hyping them up, and you're like, oh, and I was like, no way, Jets hopping off or Jeff's hopping that.
No, I'm with you because you believe in the Jets too, right?
They were in my power rankings, and I was fighting for them. It felt like I was like, what the hell are we talking about?
I'm with you. I have them. I think the Dolphins will be second. I think they win like probably 11 games, 12 games. I think those two teams will be battling for the division, in my opinion. That's what I think. Bills will win 8. Let's welcome in John Maakaron,
the Doc, the legend.
The Doc, very, very nice swing the Doc has. He does. And you can check out Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated now. I mean, come on. This
revamp, baby.
Revamp. Go check it out. Link is in the description. Please welcome to the show, host of the Detroit Sports Podcast, and the man who runs Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, Mr. John Maakaron. John, welcome to the program. How you doing?
It's a special day, 1 week until the media gets to go out there. Did you guys hear about Aiden Hudson?
Just started off, John. What do you know? What's going on?
Doc, nothing burger, right, Doc? Not that people are overreacting.
Yep, I checked in with my source, Barry McCockner, and nothing is going on with Aiden Hutchinson. All clear.
What was that? Is that you actually have a source?
Okay, yeah. What a source.
Booner, please tell me that did not go over.
Booner's
I get it, but
contact? That's what Booner just said.
I thought maybe.
Booner, I love you guys.
I thought maybe you had. I thought maybe you had a source, but you were just covering it up with a different name.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Barry McCockner is real, Boone. Very reliable.
That's a valid, just like Jeffrey Collum. Barry McCockner, they're valid sources under the same network. I think you just gotta. Sometimes there could be some fake ones that you gotta kind of weed out from the actual. Barry
He's
McCockner
not as good as Jeffrey Collum, but he's
right.
Jeffrey Collum.
I see what you guys are doing here.
But Doc, the whole Hutchinson stuff. I mean, you see Kirby. Post the 97 heart, and then he puts the crying face, and now people are freaking out. I would assume it's a nothing burger at this point. You can see why the panic's there because of how important he is to this roster. But I'm glad you think it's a nothing burger. That makes me feel a little better because media has not said a word about it. I mean, I haven't seen anyone say anything, so maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I love the fan base in Detroit. They check in like I don't even have that much time to check all the social media of all the players, but they post messages all the time. So our job is just to kind of, relay the message. And look, if something was posted 7 hours ago, you can kind of surmise that if something serious happened, one of the national media or one of the reporters in town, myself or anybody would have found out or been investigating this. And I don't think anything happened to Aiden Hutchinson. Look, I agree, though. Fans should be on top of things. They should be nervous because if something does happen to Aiden Hutchinson, that's a big concern for your defensive line. And everybody right now in Detroit is really happy, excited for the start of training camp because this football team has a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. And any injury to a key player is going to be concerning because Aiden Hutchinson is the anchor of that defense. Nothing can happen to him of a serious nature. And everything going on is very serious in regards to the Detroit Lions. And I respect that. I don't tell people not to panic. I think the worst thing people do is to tell everybody to calm down. You should be passionate. You should be excited. You should be all in. You should be checking out everything because this is a special football team. And football fans, I think it's crazy to tell football fans that are rabid about their favorite team to calm down. I think that, though, definitely you should wait until you hear all the news before your level gets to a 10, but you should pay attention. And I think that Aiden Hutchinson's a key player, and hopefully he's on the field to start a training camp and everything goes well.
I love that. I think me and you have the same mindset with that, Doc. I came in very, very emotional and frantic, like, please be okay. This is the biggest year ever in Detroit Lions history. But again, it was so long ago, someone would have reported that. I do want to ask you though, so we're a week out. You said you guys as media reports in about a week for training camp. One thing I keep seeing listeners ask and see on the internet all the time, and we actually had the conversation for a little bit the other day on the show, is going into training camp. Obviously there are going to be some kind of surprise cuts, and there are going to be players where it's like, hey, there's going to be a microscope on you, like a Levi O and guys like that. What are two guys, and I want to go like offense and defense, that you think might get cut from this Lions team, just for the people? I know last time you were on, there was a mailbag question for you, and I don't think we were able to get to it, so I figured I'd start off with it. Offensively and defensively, who are two players that would be surprising and you would be like, whoa, and that gets cut, and the fans should be kind of looking out for?
Yeah, look, it's the toughest part of going out there is now we got to count each player that's there, take attendance each day, and you sometimes got to look deep for the players lower on the depth chart. A lot of good competition out there. I think that obviously the one that people are paying attention to is Jake Bates versus Michael Badgley. Either one that potentially doesn't have an opportunity to win the battle might be not on the team. Maybe Jake Bates, if he shows some things but just narrowly falls, maybe ends up on the practice squad. I think the person that kind of early on people are looking to potentially that needs to step up is John Kaminsky. I thought that, he could have had more impact last year. He's a veteran, and maybe potentially if Broderick Martin and Young Cats show some things, maybe he's a candidate. Offensively, that's interesting. That's intriguing. You look at the offense, and there's so many good players, at least the starters, that you can see that there's going to be a real tough battle for the Young Cats to potentially earn a starting spot. So maybe the competition will be between Antoine Green and DPJ. And if one of those two does not stand out clearly, I know that the lot of talk regarding who's going to be behind Khalif Raymond at wide receiver 3 and 4. I think maybe potentially a surprise cut could be Donovan Peoples-Jones if he doesn't showcase everything that he needs to showcase. I know that the team has always talked publicly that they like him, but at the same token, if he gets beat out by Williams, the undrafted free agent, or if somebody else steps up and Antoine Green steps up, you now have 4 solid weapons, and then you have the tight ends that are going to be utilized heavily. So I think Donovan Peoples-Jones and John Kaminsky, two guys that got to show a little bit more than they showed. DPJ didn't show much during the offseason workouts, and John Kaminsky, obviously a veteran, and wasn't out there all that much.
Great having you back on, Doc. And we focus so much on the Lions, especially during training camp. But when you look around the NFC North, do you think there's players from other teams within the NFC North that, one, are going to break out and give the Lions trouble, but also the rest of the NFL? Like, if you look at the Bears, Packers, and Vikings, is there a player on offense or defense you're like, yeah, I think this guy's going to have a really good year and he's going to give the Lions some trouble?
Yeah, we at Detroit Lions on SI, the blessing of working with a great network like Sports Illustrated is we get to collaborate with the writers. I've developed good relationships with Bill Huber. He's a spectacular veteran writer of the Packers, and Bill is great. I can bounce ideas off of him. And we all did a lot of roundtables. You can check them out. And we did the all NFC North team, kind of looking at players that will shine. And also, as a network collectively, all 32 NFL writers, we wrote a story kind of talking about breakout players. And the player that Bill chose, and I agree, I have to agree, is Jaden Reed. I think that he has a special opportunity now with Jordan Love, another year under their belt, to connect and have a strong opportunity to do some things. So I think that Jaden Reed is a special talent. You saw what he was able to do in college. And you look at that Packers offense, it's something that has, you look at the coaching staff there, that's the strength of the team. They did some work in the offseason to revamp that defense led by Rashawn Gary. I think the Packers are going to be going toe-to-toe with the Lions all season. I think the Lions have more talent across the board. I thought they did enough defensively to kind of give them the edge going into the season, but I'm not going to be surprised if they split the season series. I think Jaden Reed's going to break out. Look for Jordan Love to have more success in LaFleur's system, but I do think that Jaden Reed is a player to watch on the Packers offense.
And Doc, just kind of going along with it, Silent dropped in the chat. Do you think Dontavion Wicks has a chance to really come along? Because I look at him and I think he's a potential to kind of run Christian Watson out of town if he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you look at the Packers and they just keep rolling along. You thought they were going to be rebuilding last year. They kind of retooled. And the talk now is going to be what the next step is going to be for Jordan Love, that offense. You look at defensively for them, are they going to be able to gel as fast as they need to be to take the next step forward? That win that they had in the postseason was spectacular. They were able to do some things, and I think they're poised to take a step further as well to compete at a high level. I love Christian Watson too. I think that the players that they have on the Packers are well coached, and you realize that continuity there really gives them a strong opportunity. And then you realize they retooled the running backs room. So it's going to be a good group. But I still think when you look at it competitively with the Lions, I think they have more talent across the board on both sides of the football. And they have the best quarterback, I think, with Jared Goff leading everything and all the experience and weapons he's got. That should give them the edge.
John, Brandon Aiyuk officially asked for a trade. And I think that significantly impacts the 49ers for a big reason being Brock Purdy. I thought Aiyuk, especially when Debo was out, was so important. Obviously, George Kittle's still there, and they have Christian McCaffrey, who, he's been someone that plays an entire season. He's spectacular, but then there'll be times where he misses half a season or misses all of a season. I think there's a lot of risk for the 49ers, just like there is for a lot of teams. They're an injury away. But the 49ers not having Aiyuk, which they don't want to trade him, they're probably going to trade him. How do you think that impacts the Lions' chances of getting the number 1 seed? Because I think a 49ers regression year, I think, is coming. Maybe not significantly, but John, I think it's coming.
Okay. I look at the talent that they have with Debo Samuel. I like Brock Purdy. You always have faith in George Kittle offensively. I think Kyle Shanahan's one of the great offensive minds. It's one of those things that when you look at it in totality, that's a team that's been consistently knocking at the door. How many more runs are they going to have at it? I thought that, they suffered a key injury, obviously, in the postseason. They're late. That's going to be impactful throughout the year. But I look at Brandon Aiyuk. It's kind of the playbook that clearly wide receivers use when they're not happy. They start unfollowing on social media. They start making noise. But clearly, we wrote on Detroit Lions on SI that the Lions don't need the opinion of a lot of the writers when I asked them. The Lions don't need Brandon Aiyuk, especially for a guy that wants a massive contract extension, probably similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, he did some damage. Yeah, you saw him do some things against the Lions, but I think that you have the combination of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. I don't think the Lions need Brandon Aiyuk. I think that you look at it and you say the combination of tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs, the ball is going to be spread so thin as it is. I think Brandon Aiyuk kind of you have already on this roster. So I don't think he gets traded. I think they figure it out. Maybe, it's always delicate in regards to how we don't know exactly how far apart they are in regards to the contracts. And it's tough. It's tough in terms of a salary cap league. You have Debo Samuel. You got Brock Purdy there in waiting. And you look at the situation that, every NFL team faces. You got to make tough choices. And yeah, do you want to end up seeing Brandon Aiyuk with the Packers, with the Cowboys? I hope if he does get dealt, it's yet to be seen, but if he does get dealt, I hope it's to an AFC team. And you hope it's basically any team besides the Chiefs. If he ends up with the world champs, look out, because Mahomes can make any wide receiver look special. But I don't see a regression. I think 49ers, Lions, Eagles, Packers, probably top 4 teams in the NFC.
Yeah. So Doc, I want to throw this out here too. My mindset right now is just training camp and what kind of we're looking forward to in training camp. One thing I think the one of the bigger things of the season, at least for this Lions offense, is saying, hey, let's keep this. They need to keep the offense top 5 for a 3rd straight year. And I think one of the biggest pieces, obviously, you lose Josh Reynolds, but you have a guy named Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield now who's kind of taking a step forward. And people are projecting to be a top 5 running back in the NFL. What are you going to be looking for here at training camp when it comes to Ben Johnson and how he's about to use a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs? And I think I actually saw you guys put out an article in regards to Jahmyr Gibbs, and it was a training camp preview about how he's going to have to play at different levels here on this offense. And do you see him taking like a massive step to where he's just not playing out in the backfield, but he's lined up in the slot, he's lined up out wide, he's lined up at anywhere you can put him, and he's going to see the field a lot more than he did last year? How do you see Ben Johnson using him in training camp and going forward?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's always great. First and foremost, early on in training camp, they ease into it. They're not going to be wearing pads the first couple practices. Usually the first 3 or 4 are not in pads. So you just get a sense of their conditioning, hopefully get a chance to talk to a lot of the star athletes, young players. That's the early flow of training camp, is to get a sense of everybody's offseason, what they worked on, what their goals are, kind of a recap and everything like that. But for Jahmyr Gibbs, sky's the limit. I don't have to be long-winded about Jahmyr Gibbs. You guys know the talent. You guys know what he's all about. I say you give him a plethora of targets. You include him in a lot of situations. You hope that he burns from fumbling the football in a key game, and you hope that he comes back strong. But I see MVP candidate in Jahmyr Gibbs. For Ben Johnson, clearly I see somebody that, the talk all throughout the offseason has been, now it's 401 level, which means, hey, a lot of these guys have been the 4th year in this system. That means you can do a lot of different things. The route trees can expand. You can have more opportunities for deep plays. Every single player on the offensive roster can get better. Amon-Ra can be more of a deep threat. Jamison Williams can be more incorporated. I think early on, I want to see how Jamo's used in practice. How many targets does Jared look to Jamison Williams in some key moments? In those moments, hopefully you guys stayed in the queue long enough to earn some tickets. You'll fill me in to get out there and see. But I want to see, as training camp progresses, how does Jamison Williams look? And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's a given that he's going to be featured quite a bit. They try to protect running backs a little bit. They don't want to give him too many hits throughout training camp, as they want to obviously clearly get him in shape, but make sure that he stays healthy. He's going to be a very viable option. But I want to see how he looks coming out of the backfield and how he's incorporated in the offense. But you can clearly see Ben Johnson has a nice weapon, and Alvin Kamara type, really thoroughbred that can do a lot of different things. Get excited. Make sure that you get Jahmyr Gibbs in the first 2-3 rounds of your fantasy draft. I think he's going to get a lot in PPR, a lot of touches, a lot of screens, and a lot of opportunities for yards after the catch.
Yeah, Doc, keep pushing the Jahmyr Gibbs MVP narrative. I'm all here for it. As a rookie, he damn near matched Alvin Kamara's career high in rushing yards. So I think he's going to be better than Alvin Kamara. But kind of going back to conversation, I'm going to give you a multiple choice question, Doc. You give me your answer how you see best fit. Which of these players do you most likely see getting 8 sacks with Detroit Lions? A, Marcus Davenport, B, James Houston, or C, Aiyuk McNeil? Which one of those players do you think is most likely to get 8 sacks this year for the Lions?
Yeah, no doubt. It's tough. Clearly, one of the things everybody wants to see is Marcus Davenport. We've yet to lay eyes on him on the field. He's been out there and training on the side during the offseason, but I can't say him because he's clearly coming back from injury. So clearly, I think that a guy that's done it before is James Houston. I know that's a good multiple choice. I think that it's neck and neck with Aiyuk McNeil. I think he'll be in that 5 to 10 sack category. He's definitely going to blow up with DJ Reader next to him. But I think James Houston's he's going to come back with a vengeance. He's going to get his clear opportunities to get out there and earn the opportunity to play a little bit more. And I think that he's going to have a real bounce back season. I think that when you're a guy that comes in and bursts onto the scene after Thanksgiving, you have the natural talent. He has the talent that everybody covets, his ability to pressure the quarterback. And if he puts it together in terms of other facets of his game, he can stay out on the field more. But my answer is James Houston, because I think he's the problem. He's for real. And if he stays healthy, he'll be able to get to the quarterback a lot more. And when you have DJ Reader and you have Aiyuk McNeil there, that's going to open things up for outside pressure. And hopefully James Houston takes advantage, stays healthy, and gets those sacks. He could have a double-digit sack season this year if he plays all 17 games. Double-digit sacks for the problem.
Hey, you know what?
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that, John. I like that. We talked about it yesterday, and I believe it was either Jeff Risen or they talked about it on Detroit Lions podcast that DJ Reader recovery, he's dealing with the torn quad. He might not be ready for the start of the season. The thing they were discussing was Broderick Martin potentially seeing snaps early on in the season. Your reaction to that possibility and just your confidence level. And I saw him lift. We watched the video. He's lifting a trailer with a quad on it. What are your thoughts on Broderick maybe stepping up, having that role until DJ Reader gets healthy, and anything you know currently about DJ Reader and his recovery?
Yeah, that's what kind of Dan Campbell had said, was that he may not be ready for the start of training camp, but he expects, from what Dan Campbell said, he expects that everybody that was injured, including Davenport and DJ Reader, those that were asked about specifically, that he expected that by training camp, by the conclusion of training camp, he would expect that everybody would be available. But that injury that DJ Reader suffered, look, the Lions are overly cautious. That's how they've been. And look, they're looking for DJ Reader to be available when it's crunch time in the postseason. So if he misses the first game or two, that's not going to be that much of an issue, because you do, like you said, you do have Broderick Martin, and a player that I'm intrigued by, a player to watch, is Mekhi Wingo. I want to see what he's going to be able to do on the outside. He's also position versatile, can do a lot of different things. And you look at Broderick Martin, he's going to be one of those players that's going to be intriguing when he does get his opportunities. What did he learn last year? How did he acclimate? Did he take to the coaching that the new defensive line coach Terrell Williams is given to him? Because he did have some fundamental issues in terms of pad level, in terms of hand placement, and kind of getting out of whack there in terms of, just consistency. These guys all have the talent, but they need to be repeatable in practice and showcase it when the opportunity does arise. That's why he was inactive for most of the year. It was a developmental year. Now you'll be given more of an opportunity in training camp and more of an opportunity in games. He'll have his opportunities, I think, to showcase what he's about, but he's got to showcase it. And look, you look at his frame, you look at the strength that he put on. He took to the recommendation to do the work in the offseason. And I love the first video. We say, hey, this guy's looking strong. And everybody's like, I can do that in my backyard. Well, then clearly I think that got to the agent. People were bold enough to message and reply to the video. And they were like, I can do that. I do that every weekend. So then the next video is the trailer with the bike on it. So you're like, okay, look, you can't knock Broderick Martin. He's strong. He's showcased his brute strength. And they really love clearly that he's a run stuffer. That's what the Lions are known for along the defensive line. They want to maintain that. So that's job one, but then there's other responsibilities you have to be consistently able to execute. And I think Broderick Martin will have his opportunity fully to get on the field and play more.
Hey, other side of the ball here, Doc, the offensive line. Obviously, the situation last year going into the year, you had Graham Glasgow was kind of that sixth man coming off. And I think it's inevitable that at some point throughout the season, every single year, there's going to be an offensive lineman that misses 1-2 games here and there. And you're never going to have your full 5 guys out there for 17 games. What is your outlook here on like a Christian Mahogany or a Colby Sorsdale, the next man up? To me, it feels like after minicamp that they're looking at Colby to go into be that kind of sixth man that Graham was last year. Do you think he takes that? Do you think he takes that step and he's ready for it? Because last year he did get thrown into the fire as a tackle just out of nowhere. And a lot of people kind of were down on him because of that. But it seems like he came back and he's kind of ready to go. Do you see the same thing there?
Yeah, I like everything that Colby Sorsdale represents. I think the combination of him, Coyote Awosika, and Mahogany, I think are solid along with Skipper. And then Manu is probably more the developmental guy is still a little bit raw. But I look at it like you have clearly 5 great starters that you hope stay healthy throughout the year. But if not, you look at it, Graham Glasgow is flexible to move over to center, and I think Sorsdal will be given his opportunity. And I like what he's about. I think that he's put in the work. He's gone to offensive line camps. He's done the necessary things that he needs to do to showcase things. And guys, look, you get a sense when you go out there and you start talking to these guys. It's not like college in any certain way. It's like, here's what we're doing, learn it. And it's true. The phrase that everybody uses is like drinking out of a fire hose. You're just exposed to so much and the train keeps moving. It's not like they sit back and go, okay, we're going to wait for the rookie to pick up everything. No, you got to know the protections. You got to know the offense. You got to know everything that's expected. And at the highest level, Jared Goff can shift the protection to any certain thing based on what he sees on defense. At the highest level of football, the offensive line needs to be the smartest players on the field, and they need to recognize, pay attention. Communication has to be strong, and there has to be recognition and awareness of exactly where everything needs to be in terms of protections and where you got to be with this offense, because plays can change at a quick whim. Jared Goff can shift the protection, change the play, and everything like that. The Ben Johnson's offense is sophisticated at the highest level, so it's clearly a rookie is going to have a tough time adapting to every single thing. And then clearly you guys see defensive linemen across the board, 3 technique, 4 or 5 technique, all the edge rushers, outside linebackers. These guys are quicker, faster, stronger. They have all the sophistication of moves. It's tough. Blocking is no easy feat. And that's why when you have players like Penei Sewell and Kevin Zeitler, Frank Ragnow, and Graham Glasgow and Taylor Decker, you appreciate the opportunity that they're going to have to play at a high level. It's no easy feat. And with the bull rushing defensive linemen that are out there and these versatile defensive linemen that can move around and are shifty, man, it's no easy feat. But with the offensive line, I think Colby Sorsdahl, you can trust in a spot role, can at least get some things done. And if he's not, they have other options as well.
Yeah, Doc, that offensive line for the Lions, without a doubt, is the strength of their team, I think. And I think a lot of people would agree, especially Detroit fans. It's the number one offensive line in the NFL. But the weakness of this Lions team last year was in the secondary. And they addressed part of it by drafting Terrion Arnold. And I think we all have high expectations for Terrion, especially in his longevity down the road of his career. But early on, what do you think are some things that Terrion could possibly struggle with, coming into the NFL as a rookie at the cornerback position?
Yeah, no doubt. There's always the learning curve, the speed of the game. You guys saw in the series receiver how the expert route running that these guys, the Devontae Adams, the Justin Jefferson, I think like you said in an earlier question, and I had an opportunity to ask the safeties coach at the end of the year, I said, man, I kind of think this NFC North has some elite wide receivers. And I think playing on the outside is going to be tough with these the opportunities that these guys have to put on some moves. He may get beat with a double move once. These guys, it's so tough because playing press man, you do expect that early on Terrion Arnold is going to excel and be physical. But it's tough because you're only allowed certain contact for so many yards. And then these elite wide receivers know how to find the windows, know how to find avenues to get open, especially with play action, especially with the quarterbacks that are in the NFC North. I think that, you look at Jordan Love, I think he's going to, utilize the receivers well. I know people are not as high on JJ McCarthy, Sam Darnold, and Caleb Williams, but they'll get better over time. But I look at it like this in regards to everything going on. I look at the Detroit Lions as a football team. I look at the way in which they're constructed. Everything just looks like it's in place with coaching, the experienced coaches that they have. I look at the opportunities that this football team has to take the next step forward in a lot of different avenues. And I think that across the board, this is probably the best version of the Detroit Lions you're going to see. And as long as everybody stays healthy, this football team collectively can do so many things at a very, very high level. For Terrion Arnold, look, you see, if you guys get a chance, he released his latest video, I think 2-3 days ago. The work that he's putting in regards to fundamentally staying with the receivers, the work that he's doing footwork wise is elite at a high level. But cornerbacks is just the toughest position. And I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it. I think that friends should not let friends play that position. It's so tough. It's so challenging because the top end speed of these wideouts, you guys saw at the combine, the 4.2 speed of these receivers, it's sick. And they got these massive wingspans. I just think the position's tough. And he's going to take his lumps. But at the same token, I think that for every time he gets beat, he'll come back stronger and he'll put it beside him. The worst comparison you can make to anybody is Jeff Okudah. I don't see Jeff Okudah in Terrion Arnold. I think we move quickly past that. He'll enter into the conversation of being one of the better Detroit Lions defensive backs. And I think that you'll see him quickly emerge as somebody that works hard and stays true to the craft. But it's just a tough position. And Justin Jefferson, you look at Watson, you look at DJ Moore, you look at everything if Jordan Addison can put the bottle down, he'll be okay.
That's wild.
You look at the receivers that are in the NFC North, he's going to have his work cut out for him, I think, but it'll make him better quickly.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's going to benefit him long term because you're just going to your quote, Doc, the water's warm, but there's sharks in the water. And I think those sharks, those elite wide receivers in the NFC North, he's going to struggle early on, but that's going to help him down the road, especially when he starts catching up if he can catch up to those guys' talent, be able to cover them one-on-one, that's going to help him out a lot down the road.
Hey, Doc, just with the corner stuff, and I just like something that I think a lot of people find interesting is they did go out and get some new position coaches on the defensive side of the ball, Deshae Townsend, and then Terrell Williams, however you pronounce his name. But you kind of I mixed it up. I hope I can get clarification for training camp. Is it Terrell?
Terrell, yeah.
Terrell Williams. That's
Terrell Williams. I like that. Terrell Williams and Deshae Townsend. But they brought those two guys in because obviously the corners needed a ton of work, and then the defensive line as well. That was a massive it felt like Dan Campbell looked at that and said, hey, we need to figure something out with this defensive line. The impact of those guys, you've been around them now through mini camp and through, you know, the sessions the last couple of weeks. The one for me, though, is Deshae Townsend. What is he like? And is he going to be able to kind of get this? Because I feel like the last few years we've seen corner coaches come in and out of Detroit, and obviously you haven't had the talent as we have now, but you've seen a lot of different guys now. What do you think Deshae Townsend does here in Detroit?
Yeah, look, I don't want to be a downer here, but yeah, I thought, you know, when I watched receiver, I looked at it and I said, man, seeing Cam Sutton just brought back bad memories. Yeah. And then you start thinking, man, if the Lions legitimately had cornerbacks last year that were above average and not as disappointing as it was, I think the Lions could have been Super Bowl winners. I think that they tried to gamble with the position, and unfortunately it didn't work out. And then the other aspect of the mistakes, when you look at it, is going with inexperience with Dre Bly in regards to coaching at the highest level in the NFL. I think Dre Bly was overmatched, and I think that he never got the cornerbacks on the roster to consistently perform and execute at the highest level. And you look at it, and one thing about Deshae Townsend is he's a former defensive back, and he's got really a great working knowledge of the game, got more experience. And I do think that he'll bring the knowledge base along with Coach Terrell Williams. I think that Terrell Williams is real intriguing when you see his talk. He's like, oh, you guys are talking about me as being a big teddy bear and everybody loves me. Wait till training camp when I get on these guys for not executing when the pads come on. He's like, that's going to change. Don't equate me with being a teddy bear. And Deshae Townsend, I think, will get the most out. I think, too, when you look at you need a certain skill set to be a developmental coach, to be a position coach. You need to be able to relay the message of the defensive coordinator and be able to develop the talent. And that's going to be key because you have a couple of young defensive backs. And I think Coach Townsend is the perfect fit for what the Lions are looking to do, especially with Ennis Rakestraw and Tyrion Arnold. And then you got two veterans in Amik Robertson and Carlton Davis, who are also looking to improve. So I think that Coach Townsend is a great addition along with Coach Williams. I think that they drastically upgraded from what they had. Coach Scott kind of was hinted at, maybe wasn't as, in regards to getting the most out of the defensive line last year. And unfortunately, the jump from college to the pros is totally different. Yep. So it just wasn't a fit. And the Lions quickly, the one thing about Coach Dan Campbell, if it's not the right fit, you're not going to stay long in Detroit, player or coach.
Doc, we had this conversation the other day. We came out with our own top 10 head coaches in the NFL. We wanted to see where Dan Campbell ranked. I had Jim Harbaugh a little higher than Dan. The guys had him behind Dan. I want to know where you're at with Dan Campbell. Where does he rank in your top 10? Do you think he's someone that solidified himself as a top 10 coach? I think Booner had him 5. Where's the highest you'd probably rank Dan, and what do you think he's gotten to at this point?
Yeah, no doubt. I think that you guys heard me say it. I said it on your show. I think he can be the next Andy Reid. I think he's definitely in the top 5. I believe that when you look at a coach of Dan Campbell's caliber, you see that, it's going to be about in-game coaching and making sure that, he makes the key decisions at the right time in terms of balancing aggressiveness. You look at the coaches in the NFL, there really is only a handful that you can say, hey, consistently make decent choices and put their teams in positions to win. And you clearly see it in Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, always up there. I look at a lot of the coaches in the AFC and you realize, okay, there's a lot of good coaches out there now that are gaining experience. Coach Taylor with the Bengals. And then you got Dan Campbell right in the mix. You recognize, look, I'm curious to see how Coach Harbaugh does with the Chargers now that he's had some time away. Does he still, to me, he kind of has that personality that probably to me is better suited for college, but he did have NFL success. Let's see how long and let's see, does he replicate the success that he had with the 49ers? But Dan Campbell right in the mix. I think he's, a solid candidate for Coach of the Year. I think that everything that you'd want in an NFL coach, Dan Campbell has in terms of play calling abilities, solid insight, relatability to the players, feel for the game, and somebody that in the end, when you stand up in front of a group of men and you speak and you got people that want to run through a wall for you, it goes on. It's definitely a factor that not a lot of coaches can get. Yeah, a lot of coaches try to say it, but you look at it and you say not a lot can reach these high ego, high price players and get them to buy in, become a family truly, and fight for you. And Dan Campbell earned the respect of the players because he's honest, he's real, he's relatable, and everybody now, when you talk about coaching in Detroit, as opposed to the disappointment and disaster that was Matt Patricia, everybody that talks about Dan Campbell across the league says, hey, I want to play for that guy because he's real and he'll give me the best chance to succeed and he'll keep it honest and real with me. And he's real no matter what. In good times and bad times, you get the same guy. And man, you just can't say you can't say enough great things about Dan Campbell. And you just hope that with everybody else, he also gets better this year in year 4. Sky's the limit for Dan Campbell. I think that if he gets that Super Bowl, could be looking at the next Bill Belichick in regards to length of time in Detroit. He wins the Super Bowl. You give him, I think nobody would mind.
Yeah,
lifetime contract. It would be probably written by somebody. Maybe me. All in.
Build that statue and get that contract written.
Lifetime, baby.
The people are coming in with some questions. We'll start with Dad with Tourette's. He says, how confident are you or what must you see to be confident in the backup offensive lineman? Injuries are relatively random, but someone from the O-line is likely to finally get that injury and miss games.
Yeah, we talked about that clearly with Colby Sorsdahl. I'm confident. Look, also another coach that's unheralded and needs more respect is Hank Fraley. That man is grinding, putting in the work.
No question
that there's opportunities for guys if injuries pop up, but I'm confident that they have enough to get things done if should there be an injury. And hopefully, if you do truly have Tourette's, hopefully you're managing it in the best way possible. I have a couple clients with it. It's unique. And some of my favorite opportunities are to talk to people with Tourette's and how they kind of see the world and how they have to kind of dodge and weave certain social situations. So my best wishes to you, Dad with Tourette's.
I see a lot of things. People talk about the backup offensive lineman. Every team struggles with depth. Like, I don't know. Name me a team that has a full unit ready to go after their starters. That's where I am with the offensive line. Like, I'm confident, but when you have the best, like Lucas said earlier, you have the best offensive line. Like, you're still gonna be a little worried. Mark has asked question: can the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff get to the Super Bowl? Well, I mean, I think you know that answer, John. I think
yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Bank on it. I think that when you got the Super Bowl in New Orleans, if they can stay healthy and peak at the right time, you got J-Mo, you got a couple emerging stars potentially on defense too coming through. If the additions that they brought come through, Davenport, Reeder, Carlton Davis, Amik Robertson, you look at it and you say, why not the Detroit Lions? You have to envision it. I'm envisioning it. I think about it every day. I want to be there to cover a Super Bowl winning team because I was there in the shitty times. I followed a football team that went a whole season and didn't win. You got to be, it's horrible. It got funny at times, but when you're a football fan and you watch a team go through a whole year and not win a single game, it's long, it's devastating. And then to repair all that, I was a season ticket holder, and now the opportunity to work in media to be as close as I am to that football team, I think it would come full circle if the opportunity presented itself for that football team to win. It would be great for the city. It would be one of the best sports stories of all time. The Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl. I picture it. I say it out loud. I get excited when I go for walks. I get excited when I hop on interviews, potentially one day after the Super Bowl, to talk about what the hell just happened when the Lions won the Super Bowl.
And Jeff, I'll ask this question. I don't want to cut you off. The kick return question. I want to throw that out. The guy up north. Doc, we talked about it about a month ago before minicamp, and I brought up the conversation on our show here, and we got in a little debate that I felt like Jameson Williams, Jameer, like these guys like Jameson Williams will be in that position for kick returns. Now that you saw minicamp, I know there's certain things you can't say or can say. What are your kind of thoughts here with the kick return? Over the last month, has your mindset changed, or where do you stand on it? Are we going to see some kick returns for touchdowns this year with the new?
Why not? I would love to see some skill offensive players. I think that the new kickoff rule is going to be unique. It's going to be special. So I'm going to say, if you throw out a number, how many total kickoff return touchdowns? I'm a big fan of number 4. So 4 kick return touchdowns. And maybe I'm way under, But let's see how early on it shakes out across the league. But I think that there's more opportunities for guys to get open and have an opportunity. The one question someone asked, a great mailbag question: what's going to happen if Ben Johnson leaves? Guys, I'm going to tease it tomorrow. If the communication that I had with Christian was accurate, and I remember what I told him to write, we have an outside the box candidate that I think is perfect. Outside the box, not being talked about, not on the roster, not a current coach, that is somebody that has experience working with legendary quarterbacks, that I think is a better play caller than the position that he's in. And so I think that there's an opportunity, and I'll tease it. Dan Campbell has told stories about this man. I think there's a connection that could be worked. And based on my television viewing habits, I think potentially he could go to somebody that he knows from his olden days that could potentially run this offense pretty smoothly. So pay attention to Detroit Lions on SI as my ideas filter through the writers.
Does he happen to be a former I shouldn't say former. Did he run another quarterback out of town this offseason?
Did he run? No. Okay. Nope. This is a coach that is somebody that is currently, let's just say, on the hot seat, and somebody that has had a unique past with Dan Campbell.
Do you know who I'm bringing in? If say we can't take Tanner Engstrand, you know who I'm going to bring in?
Who are you bringing in?
Go get me that man over at ESPN. Bring me Dan Orlovsky.
Oh,
let that man come in and call the plays. No, I'm just kidding. I thought that was.
He's smart. I think he needs to start the trajectory of quarterbacks coach first before play caller. The offensive coordinator is very elite.
That would be a funny one if he did that. But I just saw one in the chat. I think I might have.
We got it. Well, you got to check out Detroit Lions on Sports.
Detroit Lions on SI for the creative. All the article topics come from me. Listen, I'm not going to talk about myself too much, but my writers are in tune with my vision, and they can execute everything that I want to write about. And we have outside the box ideas, and we're open to talk about a lot of different things. And it's a great now unified family with Sports Illustrated. All the site names are called their site names on SI. We can finally say Sports Illustrated. We're not embargoed to say the SI, that we're part of the family, a big part of the family. Had meetings earlier today. Things are going swell. Thank you guys again for reading us during the off seasons. Typically supposed to be slow. We're putting out content. You guys are listening to it, following it, watching the videos like crazy, and then talking about it on various platforms. I'm deeply humbled, and I haven't been in the past, but I'm deeply humbled to be part of the media. I always look back and say that, oh my God, I was a fan that was sitting in the stands as a season ticket holder, crying that they would lose and getting pissed off, to now cover the team, to be able to have information and seeing that, 10,000 people waiting for a queue for training camp tickets. It's going to be special. Did you guys get in? Did you get in the queue? Am I going to get a chance to say hello to you guys?
Oh yeah. Booner held it down, Doc.
I got tickets. I've got quite a bit. We're not going to do a giveaway because we feel like people should be able to just get tickets and go. But we're going to give, if there are listeners, we have extra tickets as well.
Listeners,
we're going to, if people come out and say, hey, we need this day, I have some extra tickets we're going to give out. But we do have 4 of the 6 days, crunch time, whole crew will be there. I've got tickets for 4. Actually, I've got tickets for 6 of the days, but 4 of them we're all going to be there.
Absolutely, Booner. Damn, man. Look at you hogging up all the tickets for all those poor fans that were crying online they couldn't get in. Booner got them all. My God.
Damn right.
What happened was
it's a monopoly.
What happened was we needed a certain amount, and you're only allowed to get up to a certain amount. So I went in and said, I'm going to get these days, and I ended up getting extras that we don't need. But again, we're not going to put any hey, you have to retweet for a chance to win. We're just going to give them away to people. I figured that was probably the best path because it did run out. I kind of felt bad. I had some extras, and I was like, people didn't get it. I was, oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Before I get out of here, I do got just 2 things for you guys. The Tarek Skubal. If Baltimore gives up their number 1 prospect, do you trade Tarek Skubal? Is it if they give up the package that everyone's talking about? Sports Illustrated did talk and get sources saying, hey, they're loading up for a package. You doing it if they offer the 1 and some more? Are you willing now to let go if the 1 is included?
I've got my answer.
Yes.
No.
Come on, man.
I get it.
Owning up.
I get it, but when you keep taking these packages, and this is just my point of view. I feel like everyone's been like half and half on this. My side of it and point of view is you've been waiting. You've been loading up on different prospects for years now and collecting your own and drafting your own. I think you're at a point now. You're 7 games back at the wild card. I'm not saying they're going to make a wild card, but you have 2 pitchers in your organization now who are legit dudes in the major leagues. And if you can build around those 2 guys and you can go out this offseason and bring in some actual free agents outside of guys like Kenta Maeda and go out there and actually go get some guys who will make an impact and go buy some bats in the offseason, and you have Skubal and Flaherty, you have a legit baseball team next year. Now, if you trade away Skubal and Flaherty and you just keep stacking up, like you're going to be the same spot you were last or next year, and it's going to take 2 or 3 more years. So I'm at the point to where it's like there's a time where you cut it off. You have, if not the best pitcher in the major leagues right now, and you have Flaherty who's up there as well. You're at the point to where it's say, hey, we can hold, we can keep guys, we can extend guys, and we can wait. They have enough. The Tigers have enough guys in the funnel to be able to say, hey, we can bring guys in and pay for bats now, and then we have our own prospects coming up too. So like we're right there now.
Jay's coming up.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the Doc. I get too if like you want to move on from him, I get it. I just think there's like a point, and it's the same thing in every sport. There's a point where it's like enough is enough. We have our guys, cut it off, and let's ride now.
Okay, and then one last thing. Everyone went crazy with Jaylen Brown talking smack about Bronny James. Listen, guys, I wasn't lip reading. I saw the 2 ladies he was with. I was like, I didn't pay attention 1 second of Jaylen Brown. My goodness. Angel Reese. You know what? I have to change my tune. I was team Caitlin Clark. I changed my mind. I'm all about Angel Reese. I think that her one photo in and then her walking around the summer
big
league.
Personality.
Big personality. I think she's got the assets that are needed to succeed in life. And I'm a big fan of Angel Reese. I think the WNBA is going to shine not because of Clark, because of Angel Reese. I'm Team Reese. I changed affiliation.
Hey, you know what? I mean,
I flipped.
Hey, he said I flipped. You know what, Doc?
Yeah,
I respect it. You know what?
You flipped all right, Doc.
You know what? I don't hate it. Doc, by the way, Jaylen Brown, relax. All right, relax, guys.
Not a pro, baby. Not a pro. Hey, he said it. It went crazy, but yeah, I was like, oh damn, I didn't even check out what the hell he was saying. I was like, Angel and his girl are like, he might have had a good night there in Vegas.
Alex Sarr 0 for 15 in a summer league game. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't.
Crazy.
But I can't believe John shows up every single Wednesday and absolutely crushes it, John. And by the way, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Go check it out. Link is in the description. I mean, I use a lot of it for our topics here, John. So thank you for content. But more than that, thank you for appearing every single Wednesday. We'll catch you next Wednesday, John, and it'll be fun. We'll catch you at training camp. It'll be a blast.
Peace, Doc.
Per sources, Lions, baby, Super Bowl.
Oh,
Booner pass, baby.
Per sources. There you go. John Maakaron, the Doc, joining us on a Wednesday. Joins every single Wednesday. So please, for all the new viewers, every Wednesday, the Doc, Mr. Maakaron, will be here. Yeah, that was great. You know, ended with some good discussions as well. We have more.
What did you bring up last week, Booner? Like JMO.
JMO's love life. JMO's love life. Which is great.
You know, Doc always sneaks it in.
Yeah,
I love the Doc, dude.
I get it. Also, real quick, to confirm, I'm going to officially, attention for those who have not been paying any attention to social media. Kirby Joseph was not talking about Aiden Hudson. He was talking about Bobby Roundtree, who was a former teammate of his who passed away a couple of years ago, and he wore number 97. So and I think it was the anniversary today. Could be wrong, but I believe it's the anniversary today. So that's why he was putting the 97 with the hearts. So that's not Aiden Hudson getting injured. No injury. But our thoughts and prayers are with Kirby, man. I mean, that's tough to lose a guy like that. Your teammate, he was a good player too, Bobby Roundtree. I do remember Bobby Roundtree. But everyone thought it was Aiden Hudson. It is not. So just to give you guys context on that. So no need to worry about a potential injury. He is healthy.
Yep.
Good. Can take a deep sigh, Booner. Deep sigh. Everything's okay.
No. Yeah, the Booner path.
The confirmation you needed.
Potentially staring at a shift in the Booner path.
I figured like there was no reports by anyone like Adam Schefter, like no one reported anything. And it was just like there's no way you go 7 hours without a report. And the fact that there wasn't a report. So it was interesting. But the Booner path, as Bonj says in the chat, the Booner path marches on. And the Detroit Lions are going to win a Super Bowl this year. And shout out to Easy in the chat. The Easy Expressway is alive and well. That is exit. I think I made up the exit for it. I think it's 221. Exit 221. And they all end in the same exact spot. And that's the Super Bowl and the Lombardi Trophy in Detroit.
Yeah, that's
fair.
fair.
There you go, brother.
You know what?
Great
you know
PR
what,
there, Booner. Great PR.
That's what that is. Great PR.
When we do our Super Bowl parade, there will be a Booner Path float, and it'll have all the exits on it. The Booner Path, the Easy Expressway, the Spenny Path, or the Spenny, whatever it is. And they're all going to lead to the end of the parade where the Lombardi Trophy will be sitting there for all of us to touch and kiss.
Yeah. No, the Iafrate Interstate does not exist. It does not exist. You know what? The Iafrate Interstate is way in the back, and it hooks right up to the Booner Path. So, I'm not a part of this. I know I see some Iafrate Interstates in there. Not a road. It's made up. It's fake news. Fake news.
China made the Iafrate Interstate.
Nope, just the Booner Path. I am an employee for the Booner Path. I support Booner Path. I support Booner. So no Iafrate Interstate. But there is something I do want to bring up. Laner, by the way, before we get to this, I do want to give a shout out to Derek Lash. He became a Crunch member earlier in the show. Did not acknowledge him. So Derek, we appreciate you so much, man. Sorry I couldn't get to it earlier. Michael Gentry, you son of a bitch, became a Crunch member. We appreciate you, Michael, as always. Let's get to this comment. Basically asking, hey, what would you give up for Matthew Judon? Which, I think we've talked about this. I wouldn't give up anything earlier than probably a third-round pick. I think third, probably realistically fourth or fifth. You could probably do fourth and a fifth and get it done, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, I would give up a third. Like, honestly, I would go to a third. Just take it, and whether you keep him or you sign him, just bring Judon back. Not back, but I'm saying he's from Michigan. But bring him in. Like, do everything you can to build up this defense for this Super Bowl run here. Like, that's the number one priority. And if there's a conversation, like if Judon is kind of being talked about here in the trade market, I would be shocked to hear if Brad Holmes was not involved in conversations, because he was involved in Danielle Hunter conversations last trade deadline. So it was obvious that he felt like that they needed some help and some buildup. And Jeff, your point for the longest was wait until this year for the trade deadline. Well, hey, guess what? If a Matthew Judon presents yourself as in the trade market before the season, you hop on that as fast as you can, and you go make that trade, whether it's a third, a fourth, a fifth. If you have to give up 2/3, 2/4, 2/5, you go out there and make that move, because those 2/3, if you give up those 2/3 and that leads you to a Super Bowl, if that's all you have to give up for a Super Bowl, I'm all in on that.
I don't know if I'm doing 2/3 just because of the caliber players he found in the third, but I mean, Chase Young last year went for a third. So if you're saying Chase Young, who I think people are banking on the upside there and it didn't really pan out how they expected to, but I think Matthew Judon's probably a better player, but he's coming off injury, up there in age. So fourth round and back all day. I would do a third if it was like you had to do it. Like there's no way they're moving offense. Like, fine, just give it to us. But 2/3 I'm not doing, Boone, but maybe one. You can.
Well, when I say 2/3, I'm not actually saying like 2/3. I'm just giving like
get the deal done.
Just do it. Just give what you have to give up and go out there and get Matthew Judon.
There's a Lions. I don't know if it's the third or fourth round, but they do have either. I think it's the fourth round. I think they have 2 fourth-round picks next year. Could be wrong, though.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys on that. Well, John, speaking of John coming in talking more about some of the players that could potentially be cut, Sports Illustrated has a player that they believe could be on cut watch for training camp, and that is Mr. Levi Onwuzurike. And John Maakaron was actually the person who contributed to this. So, shout out to him. But yeah, he writes here, Levi Onwuzurike, the Lions got deeper on the defensive line, so there will be battles for the final spots. Onwuzurike has battled injuries throughout his career and must show consistency in order to remain on the roster. While he did have a productive spring, the former second-round pick is looking to get his career back on track. Guys, we're going to watch the Levi Onwuzurike show when we go to training camp. I hope you guys know that.
the Levi Onwuzurike show. You're giving him his own show now. He's got his own show. No, I don't think so. We're going to see Levi Onwuzurike compete for a Detroit Lions roster spot because I think he's been safe off the fact that they invested a lot considering it's a second round pick, and you got to see what that potential is coming out to. But that potential seems like it's coming out to a whole lot of nothing right now. And you see how Broderick's been looking. I mean, Levi was thought to be a run-stopping defensive tackle. You have DJ Reader. They just drafted Mekhi Wingo, who, yeah, he's a tweener, but he's good at stopping the run. You got now the potential emergence of Broderick Martin. Levi, they're trying to put him out there as a tweener on the edge. He's not built like that. That is not his game, especially if you're going to be a tweener. You got to be able to bend down a little bit, kind of like that James Houston. Not dramatic, obviously, but the more closer to the edge you go, the more you got to be able to bend and be athletic, and Levi is not that guy. I think he's in a bad position. I think if he gets cut, he'll land on another roster because I think he does have some upside in teams that are more in need of a guy that they could potentially develop. I think if you look at like the Giants, like put him at the back end. If Dexter Lawrence goes down, okay, there's a guy that you could potentially have there. But Levi Onwuzurike is not a starter in the NFL right now, and I'm banking more on the chance that he does get cut more likely and stays on the team.
I do like the fact that the conversations at minicamp where he came out and he looked completely different. And that was because a lot of those conversations were for the first couple years of his career. Obviously, he gets drafted coming off an injury. And you know, he gets drafted with the injury and Brad, and obviously, and then the next year, he's still battling this. What was it? A back injury. And he's constantly battling this back injury for 2 or 3 years. Now you hear Dan Campbell come out and say, hey, this is the first time in his career he has not had any sort of injury. He hasn't, like, he feels 100%. He's never had that in his career. And to the point, Klotz, as good as Brad's been at drafting players with talent, the one thing we talked about, the biggest thing holding Levi O back, and that's really hurt him, is him always just being injured and battling these injuries. To where if he's fully healthy, maybe we actually do see the talent come out. And maybe that's where we actually get to see what Brad got to, you know, the player that he, you know, evaluated and drafted. Now we're actually get to see that. And like out of the mini camp, like they said, he had a really good mini camp. So obviously they kept saying, you have to see the pads, you have to see the pads, see the pads. All right, well, when we see the pads, hopefully that translates. But maybe we, like, obviously he's not going to be your one of your best options. But like, dude, give us 3 or 4 sacks. Give us something. Like if he goes out there and gets 3 sacks this year, I'm happy. Like I'm like, all right, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, that would be.
There we go.
I'd put a huge wager on it. That's like plus
16,000. I'm not sitting here saying it's happening, but I would love for him to go out there and do that. Like maybe this is the first time we get to see this man fully healthy and he's able to go out there and produce. Maybe there's something to it.
See that man on the waiver wire.
Hey, watch out, Klotzy. Hey, he comes in there. He's making plays. That's what he's doing.
would, again, happy to be wrong.
I love when you say, like, I'm very happy to be wrong. I could be. It's like me with bets. Even though I'd be upset. I'd be a little upset if I'm wrong, but also, hey, if he's really good, we all benefit. So
can you kind of? I didn't know if you want to speak more on Levi O, but can you kind of pull that article back up? Because I was perusing some of the other cut candidates that were going around for the other teams and seeing if there was a couple fits, and I was intrigued to get some of your opinions on them.
I like this one a lot, and I know Booner will like this one a lot, and that is Robert Woods.
Oh, I hate it.
Robert Woods,
I like it.
Cut candidate. They just signed Quintez Cephas. Huh?
Hey, he's living off the lore of the catch.
Lucas loves that catch. Hey, that's your guy, Klotz.
Oh my god.
Oh no!
Rumors, I don't like the name that's under him. I don't like who the Colts are, but we're not going to talk
Mo
about
Alley
that.
Cox.
Yeah, I do think if Robert Woods gets cut, I think Brad Holmes will look to sign Robert Woods.
I agree with that.
The Jared Goff connection. You just have Jared Goff call Robert Woods and say, hey, you want to come play for our Super Bowl this year? And he's, yep, I'm there. And you have, like, even if he makes the team or not, you have competition now back there again instantly.
Let me ask you guys this, because you have Robert Woods, and I'm definitely not opposed to Robert Woods. But you look at where the Lions have a need at the wide receiver position. I think it's on the outside. And Jeff, scroll up to the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets. Do either of these two intrigue you guys? The Panthers is definitely like it's a little bit more risky, but I see where it could be intriguing. Terrence Marshall Jr. out of LSU. Obviously, he wasn't the Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, but he's a guy that won in college. He's a guy that's big, X type of build, but he's been very inconsistent. They brought in Jonathan Mingo last year, X. They brought in Xavier Legette. They got Deontay Johnson down there now. So Terrence Marshall could be on the waiver wire. Would that pique the interest of either of you two?
I'm intrigued. I like the X build. I remember him in LSU. Wasn't he a he was kind of like a burner, right? He big, fast,
deep. And he was more so like it's not like he was slow, but he's more like a big body, physical, like jump ball type of guy.
Well, then I think there's definitely a spot for him. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like Booner said, if you want to bring in competition, I'm all ears. You know, I don't hate that. I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, I don't think even if a guy's like I know Easy said Robert Woods is cooked. Like, yeah, he hasn't had the best couple years, but again, it's like someone that Jared Goff's familiar with. You're not looking for, and to Klotz's point, like you're just looking for a guy to come in and compete. He may or may not make the team. Just compete. Go out there and make Antoine Green better. Like push him to get to his ceiling. Same with DPJ.
All right, then the last one. This is my favorite one that on the list is go down to the Jets, and this is one that I think he's played in this division before. As far as we talk about the X, I think he's similar to that. But
Allen Lazard,
yeah, Allen Lazard is a candidate.
No way.
Yeah.
I would take Allen Lazard. I like Allen Lazard. I was a fan of him on Green Bay. I'm being honest.
Allen Lazard would be a nice little pickup too.
Yeah. He can block his ass off too. That's how he kept his job with the Packers for so long when he wasn't catching touchdowns. Is he just block his ass off for him? So I think that's a perfect fit. Talk about going into Lambeau, winning a big division game. I think Allen Lazard knows what that's all about, and I think he'd like to get a little revenge on the Packers as well too.
I don't hate it either. I mean, Allen Lazard is interesting. He's you think they'd keep him because Aaron, but they also have. I mean, they're right here. He doesn't offer much special teams versatility. And they have Jason Brownlee.
Hey, we like Jason Brownlee, Jeff.
I do. We do. Yep. Guys making plays. He can make plays. No doubt about it. Shout out Mike, too. Just gifted 5
Whoa.
people.
Shout out.
Big
also, shout out to Sarah, became a member for 4 more months. So Sarah's back. So Sarah, we appreciate you for that.
Welcome back. The season's getting started now. Training camp, baby. Let's go.
That guy up north says Lazard and DPJ will be competing hard for a roster spot.
I agree. That's a coin flip.
Yeah, I don't know if those two would be really competing. I think they both would, honestly. Like, I would keep both for depth.
Yeah, I mean, that's facts too, Boone.
Why wouldn't you? Like, if there's a way you can keep them both on the roster. Antoine, I don't know how many receivers typically get capped. I guess it depends on what your roster.
6 or 7.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your roster. But if you can keep 7 wide receivers and you can keep Antoine Green, DPJ, and you bring in Allen Lazard, like that's a great wide receiver room. And I'll tell you what, guys go down for a game or two, Ben Johnson will find a way to get guys involved, and he will especially find a way to get a guy like Allen Lazard involved. It's a thing that I was talking about yesterday with Amon-Ra St. Brown, like with JMO, and like how JMO's going to benefit a ton for being on a roster with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs, to where the defense is going to be all over them. Guess what? You have one of the fastest guys in the league now you have to worry about. Same with Allen Lazard. Like, he's going to be one of those guys lined up out wide, and it's, hey, like the Josh Reynolds type of deal there. Like, yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. And he's going to benefit a ton from the weapons that are around him.
Yeah, I think whatever receiver you bring in, it's what Klotz always brings up on the show. It's like they're competing for like a 4 spot. I mean, so it's like their depth, which you need, which isn't bad. I don't hate depth at all, but you don't need like pressure for them to be like magnificent. You know, like Allen Lazard, just play a role. You know, just play a role, block your ass off. Do your job at a high level, even if it's Robert Woods. I mean, can you catch 20 passes on the year? Can you do that? Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the team. Like that's really all you need. I mean, that's really all you need.
Enroll here.
Yeah. I mean, I see some people kind of chiming in here. You know, talk. And by the way, the wide receivers you need, I think it's like between 5 and 7. So you're about right, Lucas. 6 or 7, and they already have Amon-Ra, JMO, Khalif. So you know, you got.
I think it depends on how confident they are in guys. Like if you're looking at the roster and you're like, hey, DPJ and Antoine, like they had good camps, but we don't know who's that next guy up, and you bring a guy like Lazard in or something, you might want to just keep extra guys just so you know, like, you have that just in case one doesn't work out.
I mean, look at this, James Bradbury.
I don't know, because I wouldn't want anything to do with him. But I mean, if the Eagles lose him, I don't know who they bring in. They have Isaiah. the people are sleeping on Isaiah Rodgers.
Oh, Treylon Burks.
Indianapolis Colts.
Give me Treylon Burks.
Hey, I'd be happy with Treylon.
Give me Treylon Burks, Jeff. You know how I feel about that, man.
You guys like he's
got so much potential.
Don't tell me you'll take a flyer on Allen Lazard, but not Treylon Burks. Flyer?
I'll take a flyer, and
Dude,
I'll probably put that flyer back down. You know, like it's like
just hating.
It's like someone hands you a flyer for like, something like a new business or like a garage sale, and you look at it and you're like, oh, it's really cool, and then you just kind of set it on the counter and leave it there.
Dude, Calvin Ridley,
like what you're doing with that.
Calvin Ridley comped Treylon Burks to like AJ Brown and was like, this dude has that. No.
You're on the stand.
No, dude, what do you guys do?
I'm not.
This is what you guys do. You guys have me make a statement. It's like when people clip farm and they just clip one little thing that they want to hear and they don't let someone finish. Before you start going, whoa, let the person talk. Let me talk. He went on air and he compared him to a guy like AJ Brown, and he said his body type and how big he is and the athleticism that he has is to one of these elite receivers in the NFL, like an AJ Brown. But he has to go out there and put the skill set to the turf. Like he has to go out there and do it, and that's what he hasn't figured out.
Teammates.
I just rolled my eyes because
teammates.
That's literally the man they used to replace AJ Brown. Even after Mike Vrabel says AJ Brown's not leaving this roster, AJ Brown is going to be Tennessee Titan, and they ship him away for a first-round pick that turned into Treylon Burks. So that was a problem. Learn ball, Calvin. You can't compliment AJ Brown.
But Mike Vrabel never got to make those decisions. That was why.
I'm not blaming. No, like I'm saying, Mike Vrabel did not want that to happen.
That's yeah.
That's what was like the first domino. Mike Vrabel getting the fuck out of it.
Shocking. Mike Vrabel doesn't have a job right now. Like. So shocking that
guys.
He is one of the best coaches. I would put him in my top 15 head coaches in the NFL. I'd put Mike Vrabel. Yeah. That man had Ryan Tannehill and went to the playoffs consistently with Ryan Tannehill. Like Mike Vrabel is that dude. It's crazy he doesn't have a job in the NFL,
especially with like how popular Dan Campbell is because of like his leadership. Like Mike brings that same thing. Like,
yeah.
And D'Amico succeeding as a defensive-minded head coach with that type of presence, that doesn't really make any sense. He probably's taking just a year off, come back.
He's working with the Browns. He's on the Browns staff.
There you go. Well,
but
what is he
like,
doing?
Be a good one for Buffalo.
He's like a
advisor?
I don't know, advisor. Yeah, like I don't even know if he's like a full time. He like works with the players there, and he's just hanging out, like just teaching guys.
He's just kicking
locker
it.
Room guy. Him and Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, like that's elite. Oh my god,
dude. Oh my. Woo! You fuck up. Going back to film, you're holding the binder. You don't even want to go into the film breakdown. Jim Schwartz and Mike Vrabel are about to ruin your day.
Oh my god!
You not even want to play on the team. Turn in your uniform and helmet after that. Turn in your elf helmet.
It's like the Jamal Adams thing where he tries to buzz in. Yeah,
That's what you're hoping for. That's what you're hoping for. You can avoid the whole confrontation.
Yeah, that is wild. Hey, before we got about 7 minutes left. Boone, we're starting to get some progress on this NCAA Coach Boone journey.
We do have an announcement, and I will put a tweet out in the next 24 hours. Coach Booner is returning to a team. I'm going back to college to coach. I was a college basketball coach once. I'm going back to become an OC somewhere. I think I'm going to tweet it out. So make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Booner Sports or at Crunch Time at the official CT Sports. I think Friday after the show, I will be deciding a team, and we will be live streaming the NCAA college football. And I will be out there. Coach Booner will decide a team.
The ranks?
Yes, and I will start low. We can start low major, and as an OC. And I'm going to work my way up, and we're going to try and become. I told Jeff this today. I'm taking the Connor Stallions route. My end goal is to become the leader of the University of Michigan and become a national champion at Michigan, and bring Michigan back to relevancy, even though they just won a national championship. But the Connor Stallions route.
Just stay away from Toledo, though. Yeah,
I will. So Friday, what we're going to do is. After the stream Friday, I think I'm going to go live, and I'm going to do a stream for the next couple hours from 10 to 11:30. However, if we have a lot of people in there, what will happen is throughout the show Friday, I will try and make sure I get everything set up to where I know 5 or 6 teams that I can commit to. and we will let the people choose at the show Friday what team I will be starting my career with, and we'll roll from there. So the people in the chat that are listening, all of you guys will be able to decide. We'll do a vote, like a poll, and you guys will decide where Coach Booner starts his career.
Just don't be Akron.
Hey, the people will decide. Friday night. We'll do Friday night streams, and maybe we'll do Saturday streams too. But we're going to get some streams going here.
There is rumors, and maybe it's weird that I'm announcing them, but I was offered a job to be on Booner's staff as a potential passing game coordinator. I'm currently, I'm contemplating it. I think it's a good opportunity for myself to help Booner reach his ultimate goal, which is become a national championship. I'm going to consider it. I'm like Ben Johnson. I got options. I got options.
You have that man starting running waters to start off, Booner. Okay.
I'll put an offer. I'll put an offer on the table. If he accepts it, he accepts it. If not, he doesn't. But my plan is to start low and listen, we're showing up like a Matt LaFleur type style here, starting in the ranks at like Central Michigan, and we are going to become. My goal is to become the best college football head coach of all time, and to win national championships. I want to be the next Nick Saban. The journey starts Friday night, and we will get it done.
Next Urban Meyer, Boone. You started at Bowling Green State University in the 419.
Potentially Bowling Green might be in play. Who knows? I have to look at my offers. Hopefully tomorrow we secure the package, and then we'll get the offers in. We'll see what happens here.
Urban Meyer, Toledo man.
Go.
Just saying.
Hey, I don't know. I'm kind of in a tough spot because I want to play. I don't know what school to pick because I love college football, but I don't know what to do. Like Klotzy, what's name of school? Random ass school. I should.
The school that I always picked growing up was Eastern Carolina. They had the sickest uniforms. It was like weird ass division. You run them up. ECU, great team.
Okay.
South Florida's another team I would be a lot. I think they got a good
I've got one.
Give you. I like these.
Why don't you head over to Kent State?
Make
Kent State relevant.
Kent
Golden Flashes. See, that's another Akron.
The people Purdue, Boise State, and Bowling Green.
Boise, make them relevant again.
Yeah,
Shout out Kellen Moore.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Little lefty action.
That'd be a good one. The people, see, I like this. Why I love our chat. They're chiming in.
Liberty's a great one.
I could get the next Broderick.
Forget Malachi Corley. Forget who that is.
Hey, we develop players over here.
You get the next Bailey Zappi at Western Kentucky. There you go. The Hilltoppers.
There you go.
Oh, how on brand is this one? Why don't you tell him, Jeff? Tell him. Such a snobby pick. Such a snobby pick.
Tyler, I gotta tell you, I might have chose Notre Dame. I might have chose Notre Dame.
Too good.
Oh, you already. So you asked
the
us
private school of
Well, I chose it. I didn't start, and I'm thinking, Boone. Like, if I'm being realistic, to have like the best experience, I think I might go be an OC like you did. I don't know if I'm going to just start coaching. Honestly, I like the OC route thing.
You have to start as the pass game coordinator with Coach Booner first, then you can work your way to the OC.
I think I'll get some offers working with you, Boone. I do.
I'll throw out an offer on Friday on the show. I'll have an offer for all of the boys.
All right.
So I can't wait. I'm pumped to do some streams and get the people involved. Like Friday, when we get the final four teams, we'll get a graphic for the final four teams, and we'll have the chat vote. I am pumped to see where I'll be coaching. I cannot wait.
It'll be great. I mean, Booner streaming. You guys feel free. All the people that love. Watching, especially this game, NCAA, while everyone's playing it, Booner will be playing it, doing a little like a walk.
Bad too.
Let's play, crunch time gaming, and Booner's going to be cooking. So please look forward to that as well. We appreciate all you. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We had a lot of people tuning in, and we appreciate you for that. Don't forget, support the program. I think we have 5 subs away from 88.4 thousand. So 4 subs away. So please tell a friend, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 10,000. Boone, what's up?
I did see in the chat earlier, and I confirmed it. Caitlin Clark did break the WNBA record with 19 assists tonight. Wild. 19 assists.
Yeah, just give her the Rookie of the Year award. I mean,
I could do that in my sleep.
That's crazy, dude.
Regardless, put me on that court.
Okay. All right. Well, until tomorrow, we'll catch you guys.
Love you guys, man.
And stay blessed. We'll catch you.
Peace.